Chapter 352. When Bailey Hongzhuang and the others arrived outside the dormitory, they were all stunned at the ocean of people outside the door. Bai Junyu's opened his mouth, his handsome face filled with astonishment. Isn't this too many people? Besides the new student examinations, he had never seen so many students gathered up at one place. Xiaojiman was also speechless. When she had came, there were no people, but now, only a short time had passed, and there were already so much more people. Looking at the steady stream of students still coming at the far back, it seems like the auction will really have a lot of people attending. Dongfang Yu had a smile on his face, a faint trace of ridicule on his countenance. Hongzhuang, this auction of yours is really too big. The entire special enrollment student dormitory gives up. Bailey Hongzhuang couldn't help but laugh. Her idea had accidentally blocked the special enrollment students' dormitory. At that time, she hadn't thought so many students would come. If more people kept on coming, there wouldn't be enough space to accommodate them all. Lu Qinyue stared blankly at the scene in front of her and looked at Bailey Hongzhuang, unable to control the trace of envy appearing in her eyes. As a pill master, she knew the significance of an extinct pill very well. Before Bailey Hongzhuang appeared, she was Azure Water City's most watched pill master talent. And now, not only was Bailey Hongzhuang a second-grade pill master, she was even a famous doctor in the field of healing, the godly doctor. She was even younger than herself, yet held extinct pill recipes. As the vice principal's disciple, she also naturally held some pill recipes. But those were all common, normal pill recipes, simply incapable of being compared with those extinct, long-lost pill recipes. Originally, she had thought that her pill refining talents were already far beyond other peers her age, but since the arrival of Bailey Hongzhuang, she seemed to be completely pulled down off of her altar. Her heart couldn't help but feel a little lonesome. Dibei Chen's eyes glowed with appreciation and pride. His wife was truly special. Whatever she did would attract everybody's attention. More and more people are coming. I'm afraid that there won't be enough space to hold an auction here. Bailey Hongzhuang frowned slightly as she looked around to see even more students approaching. Personally, I think that it'd be a lot better to host the auction at the plaza. Dongfang Yu's smile was bright. There's a high platform over there and a lot of space. You can conduct the auction on the platform, and we can help you with whatever's convenient. Hearing Dongfang Yu's suggestion, Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes lit up. We can use the morning assembly plaza? The morning assembly plaza was generally only used when the school wanted to make important announcements. Bailey Hongzhuang knew that it'd be the best place to conduct the auction, but was also worried that they wouldn't be allowed to. Dongfang Yu waved his hand, a bright and charming smile still on his face. It doesn't matter. That plaza's affairs had already been given to me. Seeing Dongfang Yu's confident appearance, Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes also curved into a smile. Then I'll be troubling you. Dongfang Yu nodded before turning to Gong Xiaoqing. Xiaoqing, I'll be temporarily leaving this to you. I'm going to go talk to the vice principal. Okay. Gong Xiaoqing answered heavily. Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes were filled with gratitude. No matter if it was Dongfang Yu or Gong Xiaoqing, since she had arrived at Azure Water School, they've both helped her a lot. With their reputation within Azure Water School, as long as one of them was here, nobody would dare to cause chaos. Chapter 353. After the group of students outside the dormitory saw Bailey Hongzhuang and the others come out, fiery looks of anticipation started appearing in their eyes. After Bailey Hongzhuang announced the auctioning of the channel opening pills, all of them looked forward to today. Searching all corners for demonic beast crystals, herbs, and such things like precious treasures. All of that was for today. To be able to successfully bring the channel opening pill back with them. Even though these things were highly valuable, they still couldn't compare to the channel opening pill. After all, these were things that could be obtained anywhere and at any time. On the other hand, you can't get the opportunity to raise your cultivation anytime. Usually, there was no small amount of competition with cultivating at the Azure Water School. If they could even slightly increase the speed of their cultivation, then, in the long run, there would be double the benefits. Junior sister Bailey, When will the auction start? One guy couldn't wait any longer and asked. The special enrollment dormitory certainly wasn't small. However, with all the students gathered here, this feeling of them constantly squeezing forward was rather uncomfortable. Almost everyone is already gathered here. How about we start it now? That's right, let's start the auction now. Following that guy's words, everyone else also echoed the same sentiments. In the entire Azure Water School, almost no one chose to give up on the auction of the channel opening pill. At this moment, if the auction starts earlier, they would also have a little less competition. Bailey Hongzhuang's lips held a thin, beautiful smile. She lifted her hands slightly, indicating for everyone to quiet down. Though she was faced with so many students at this moment, Bailey Hongzhuang was still perfectly composed, not even show the slightest hint of nervousness. The number of students attending the auction today has greatly exceeded my expectations. With everyone arriving so early and gathering in such a crowded place, I feel very uncomfortable about it. After Bailey Hongzhuang spoke, the originally noisy surroundings miraculously quieted down. Everyone's gazes started centering on Bailey Hongzhuang, carefully listening to her words. Bei Chun and the others eyed Bailey Hongzhuang. She seems to possess a kind of power that calms people. Just a random gesture, a casual word, will be enough to attract everyone's attention. This was a very special kind of ability. This kind of ability was also called leadership. It was not something that anyone could have. Everyone nodded. Bailey Hongzhuang had said what they thought in their hearts. Not only did Bailey Hongzhuang not expect there to be so many students coming, even they themselves didn't think of it. They also heard that many students that have gone out have quickly returned when they heard this piece of news. Even many students in closed-door cultivation have ended their seclusion. It was precisely because of this that the number of students attending the auction was so high. Even when the principal called for a morning assembly, there weren't this many people. Thus, I've decided to change the auction venue to the morning assembly plaza. I have to trouble everyone to move there. Bailey Hongzhuang's face held a bit of regret. Everyone hurried here so early, yet now they had to move again. Inevitably, there would be some resentment. Yet this was the only way for the following auction to proceed smoothly. However, after everyone heard Bailey Hongzhuang's words, they didn't complain. Instead, one by one, they turned and headed towards the morning assembly plaza. Compared to blocking the entrance to the special enrollment dormitory, it was obvious that the morning assembly plaza was much more comfortable. Moreover, everyone also understood in their hearts that it was not yet the time Bailey Hongzhuang said the auction would start. It was just that they were impatient and came too early. Looking at the crowd's actions, Bailey Hongzhuang's smile widened by a few degrees. The students of the Azure Water School were indeed dragons and phoenixes amongst men. Their quality was also extremely high. Chapter 354. As the crowd went to the morning assembly plaza, Bailey Hongzhuang and others began to move out as well. Bai Junyu's wound wasn't fully healed, so he originally should have stayed in his room to prevent his injury from getting any worse. But nobody would want to miss out on such a lively scene and stay at home. So he immediately went to the auction with Xia Jiqing. Although Xia Jiqing wasn't ever interested in Bai Junyu's chatter, since he was an injured man, her attitude towards him was a little bit nicer. By the time Bailey Hongzhuang and the others arrived at the morning assembly plaza, Dongfang Yu was already there waiting for them. Bailey Hongzhuang smiled when she saw Dongfang Yu, Senior Dongfang. Did the vice principal agree? Dongfang Yu nodded. The vice principal is always easy to deal with, and naturally didn't have a problem. That's good. Bailey Hongzhuang was relieved, directly jumping onto the high platform. Bei Chun and the others also jumped on. Bailey Hongzhuang was in the middle, and they stood on both sides beside her. Below the platform, the students had already raised their heads in anticipation, eager for the auction to quickly begin. The next moment, Bailey Hongzhuang glanced at the time and announced, "It's time for the auction to begin." Hearing this, everybody in the audience cheered. They were all waiting for the auction. Azure Water School's morning assembly plaza was facing the school's gate. Outside the entrance, Many cultivators could be seen stretching their necks to see what was happening inside. Although they truly wanted the channel opening pill, because Bailey Hongzhuang made it so only Azure Water School students could bid for it, they had no chance at all to fight for it. But even knowing they had no chance, they still didn't want to miss out on such a lively event. When the auction was over, they could find whoever managed to get the channel opening pill, and then perhaps they'd be able to get an opportunity. I believe that everybody knows how the auction will be conducted this time. Sunlight shone on Bailey Hongzhuang's body as her beautiful face glowed with confidence. It was an unforgettable sight. Everybody stared at Bailey Hongzhuang on the stage. Every movement of hers was filled with grace worthy of admiration. This auction, because it's held within our school and we're all cultivators, we won't be using gold coins to bid. We'll be bidding with the same prices, but everybody must use either demonic beast crystals, pill ingredients, or cultivation-related treasures. Everybody nodded. They've all already heard about the requirements and collected treasures everywhere to use for the auction. Xia Jiqing frowned, confused. I know how the auction works, but the things everyone takes out will be different. It's hard to convert an item's value into gold coins. So how will that work? Bai Junyu shook his head, embarrassed. He also didn't understand. He had only seen auctions where gold coins were used to bid and had never experienced this kind of auction. Lu Qinyue's eyes were also confused. How do you judge this? Dongfang, can you ask if Bailey Hongzhuang needs help with anything? Gong Xiaoqing asked slowly. Bailey Hongzhuang's way of conducting the auction was really too strange, so a lot of problems would probably arise along the way. Di Beichen nodded slightly, about to ask when Bailey Hongzhuang's voice suddenly echoed again. Chapter 355. I believe that everybody knows this auction will be a bit complicated, so I've thought of a way to make this a bit simpler. Everybody looked at Bailey Hongzhuang curiously when they heard her speak. They had no idea what the way Bailey Hongzhuang mentioned was. I prepared some paper and pen. We can directly write the item we want to bid with and our name on the paper. From there, I will choose the 3 most personally regarded highest bids, and those 3 will get the channel opening pills. What does everybody think? Bailey Hongzhuang's face had a smile on it. This was the simplest way she could think of to conduct the auction. Otherwise, who knew when the auction would finish today? Everybody's eyes lit up as they listened to Bailey Hongzhuang. This really was the best way. Like this, all the steps would be simplified and you wouldn't need to speak to bid, so no conflicts would arise from students studying at the same school. I didn't expect Hongzhuang to be so smart, ah? Xia Jiqing's face was filled with admiration. This was truly bamboo splitting when it meets the knife, easily solving a difficult problem. Bai Junyu nodded with approval. This is the first time I've heard of such a way. Simplifying it and also reducing hidden malice during bids, really clever. The hint of anxiety in Dongfang Yu's brows already disappeared, replaced by an appreciative smile. It looks like we were just too worried. Gong Xiaoqing stared at Bailey Hongzhuang. Right now, Bailey Hongzhuang couldn't be called a stupid woman at all. It really made others have no choice but to sigh in admiration and even further proved that holding this auction was not solely for her own personal benefits. The way people use bids and auctions always maximize profits, but Bailey Hongzhuang didn't put that as her first priority. From this, it was clear that her first and most foremost goal was to help Azure Water School students. Di Beichen's face was indifferent as he stood off to the side, his deep, tempting eyes glowing with pride and approval. His wife was naturally extremely intelligent. This way of auctioning even had him exclaiming in admiration. After breaking away from the status of the general household's second miss, she was already a very respectable figure. Now nobody could relate her as the general's household's second miss anymore. And since then, she's only been shining brighter and brighter. Seeing everybody nod in the audience without any disapproval, Bailey Hongzhuang's smile grew a bit wider. She turned to look at Xia Jiqing beside her. I'll be troubling everyone to help me distribute the pen and paper. Xia Jiqing immediately agreed. Give it to me. Di Beichen, Dongfang Yu, and the others also stepped forward. Hongzhuang asked them all, so naturally they'd complete it properly. The people watching outside Azure Water School couldn't help but show expressions of doubt. Isn't this an auction? So why haven't they started bidding and instead started to pick up pen and paper? Not so far away. The principal Run Tianxiong and vice principal Huan Chuyu stood together to watch morning assembly plaza. This Bailey Hongzhuang, not only is she strong, but she also has a good brain. Ren Tianxiong's eyes had a faint trace of admiration in them. As Azure Water School's principal, he had naturally seen no lack of great talents. But very few students were as excellent as Bailey Hongzhuang. Huan Chuyu nodded in approval. Bailey Hongzhuang really is remarkable. In the future, she'll definitely be able to stir big waves in Shengxian continent. Chapter 356. Have you investigated Bailey Hongzhuang's background? Ren Tianxiong slowly asked, his sights still on the bidding students. I didn't investigate, but Lu Huayan and the others definitely should have. Huan Chuyu smiled lightly. After her background, she should have some kind of secret. A light of approval appeared in Ren Tianxiong's eyes. Not only Bailey Hongzhuang, Diabei Chun is also already very complicated. This year is really abnormal. Huan Chuyu's voice was filled with emotion. The demonic beast tide, a second-rank pill master, new leaders, truly extraordinary. Hearing this, Ren Tianxiong's lips also curved into a small smile. As long as we know they're Azure Water School students, that's enough. As Azure Water School's principals, their goal was to breed new talents. They didn't care for things like life's ambitions. Xia Jiqing handed out the pen and paper. The students in the auction were all very cooperative. But when Xia Jiqing saw who was taking the pen and paper this time, her face changed somewhat. Ling Jiasin, didn't you say Bailey Hongzhuang's channel opening pills were fake? Why did you still come here to bid then? Xia Jiqing's eyes were filled with disgust and disdain. She never liked this woman who was always looking for trouble with Hongzhuang. Did she come to the auction today just to make trouble? Ling Jiasin's face was somewhat embarrassed. She originally thought that with so much people attending, she only needed to disguise herself a little bit and nobody would notice. Besides, since it's bidding using pen and paper, she'd only need to use a fake name and Bailey Hongzhuang would have no idea. She didn't think that Xia Jiqing would recognize her while handing out the pen and paper. After being discovered, Ling Jiasin awkwardly raised her head and spoke. This auction doesn't have any rules about who or who cannot bid, so why wouldn't I be able to join in? Xia Jiqing laughed coldly. You really are shameless enough to. Ling Jiasin's face was stiff. This Xia Jiqing's words were even more vicious than Bailey Hongzhuang's, not leaving her with a single bit of face. You're saying so much nonsense. Just give me the pen and paper. After shouting at Xia Jiqing, Ling Jiasin directly took a set of pen and paper from her hands. Xia Jiqing glanced at her coldly. Such a person was truly rare. After she was done distributing the pen and paper, Xia Jiqing returned to the platform. Hongzhuang, while I was handing out the sets, I saw Ling Jiasin. She also came to bid. No matter what, you shouldn't choose her. Xia Jiqing's lips twitched, her eyes filled with loathing. That woman never has good intentions. You can't give the channel opening pills to her easily. Seeing Xia Zhiman's resentful appearance, Bailey Hongzhuang lips curled into a graceful smile. It doesn't matter. I also saw her earlier. But I think that since she was running all over the place trying to make up for our bet's debt, I doubt she is a good enough treasure now to bid. Xia Jiqing's words made Bailey Hongzhuang's mood a bit brighter. Although it was only a school auction, she still believed that the 3-channel opening pills should be able to fetch a high price. Bailey Hongzhuang glanced at Ling Jiasin faintly. In the crowd, not only did she see Ling Jiasin, she had even seen Lu Jingquan and Pang Yunxiang as well. Chapter 357. Holding the pen and paper, Ling Jiasin felt somewhat proud. Since she'd met Bailey Hongzhuang, she had never lost so much face in her entire life. No matter what, she couldn't just swallow her resentment. Coincidentally, Yunyang had just returned yesterday. After talking it over, they made a decision. Dai Yunyang had already received letters from the general's household earlier and was furious upon learning Dai Jimon was killed by Bailey Honghao. He'll definitely avenge Jimon, daring to kill his sister. After Dai Yunyang returned, not only was his strength enchanted, even his body was strengthened. It just so happened that Bailey Hongzhuang was holding an auction, so after talking over their strategy, they decided to buy all 3 channel opening pills and spread rumors about how they were useless. So that way, Bailey Honghao would be completely discredited. At that point, they were sure that Bailey Honghao would be completely abandoned like a worn-out shoe. Her reputation would be destroyed for everybody to trample on. Then, wouldn't ruining Bailey Honghao be an easy job? Dai Yunyang decided to conceal news of him returning and gave the mission to Ling Jiasin, Lu Jingquan, and Pang Yinxiang. They had originally wanted to get a few followers to return with the channel opening pills, but they hadn't expected Bailey Hongzhuang to come up with such a way of conducting the auction. It saved them a lot of trouble, so they just had to use a different name to bid. After Bailey Hongzhuang read their names, they could come out, and Bailey Hongzhuang wouldn't have any way to oppose them. Ling Jiasin looked at Lu Jingquan not so far away and sign-led with her eyes. Lu Jingquan exposed a knowing smile. They've always been waiting to kill Bailey Honghao. Now that they've finally worked out a perfect plan, they must kill Bailey Hongzhuang. Pang Yinxiang was also very happy. Although helping Dai Yunyang ruin Bailey Hongzhuang wasn't the goal in mind, he truly wanted to teach Bailey Hongzhuang a lesson. But now, Dai Yunyang regarded him as important, so as long as this succeeded, he'll definitely get more chances to work with him in the future. A ruthless light flickered in his pitch-black pupils. He and Bailey Hongzhuang's fate together have already come to an end. After he was wounded at the cultivation pagoda, it took a very long time for him to recover, and he had always felt guilty for Chun Tianzhong. This time, he'll definitely get revenge plus interest from Bailey Hongzhuang. Bailey Hongzhuang touched Baisher's fur. Today, he was abnormally excited. Thinking of the number of shiny demonic beast crystals it could get with the auction, Baisher's eyes were shining with greed. God, more demonic crystals, and he would be crushed to death. The 2 black and white fluff balls were depressed. Master gave so much thought about Baisher's meals. Compared to him, they were really treated a lot worse. Really unfair. Little Black sat on Bailey Hongzhuang's head, his face resentful, and couldn't help but pull on Bailey Hongzhuang's hair. Little White nodded, feeling the same. That little still-feeding baby is getting more and more arrogant, just acting cute all day long. AI, Little Black sighed, directly pulling out a strand of hair. Don't tell me that we have to let that still-milking baby act so arrogantly in front of us. Little White pulled hard, taking another strand, but I also don't know what we can do, Bailey Hongzhuang's head suddenly ached. She wondered what the pain was when her face couldn't help but change somewhat. Chapter 358. What are you 2 guys doing on my head? A trace of helplessness appeared in Bailey Honghao's eyes. What did the 2 do for no reason? Suddenly hearing Bailey Honghao speak, Little Black and Little White couldn't help but be startled. Looking at the pulled-out strands of hair in their hands, their faces immediately changed. Nothing. Little Black immediately Delcard, immediately putting down the strand, hiding it. But how could the hair be so sticky? It fell down off her head. Bailey Hongzhuang looked at the fallen hair and narrowed her eyes. You 2 were pulling out my hair? Little Black and Little White shook their heads repeatedly. We absolutely didn't. Then what's this on the ground? Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes narrowed even more, a sharp light passing through them as she ignored the 2's quibbling. The 2 fluff balls pointed fingers. We were going to say something, but we forgot. Just now, they thought that they were pulling up grass and that it came out very smoothly. Little Black repeatedly nodded, sticking up his hand. I swear we didn't do it on purpose. Bailey Hongzhuang shook her head helplessly. She'll never understand how the 2 fluff balls think. You guys don't have to grumble. How about I treat you 2 to a feast tonight? Hearing this, Little Black and Little White's eyes widened, turning as bright as stars. Drool dripped from their mouths. Really? Little White immediately asked. We can eat anything we want. Bailey Hongzhuang nodded. Right, eat anything you like. The thing the two fluffballs liked the most was to eat, but she usually ignored it in favor of prioritizing cultivation. Eating wasn't anything complex, so she had really wronged the two. I want to eat red braised pork. Little Black immediately voiced. I want to eat pig trotters. Little White followed, afraid that if he was a second late, the pig trotters would fly away. Bailey Hongzhuang smiled. All right, one for each of you. Wow, so happy. Little Black and Little White raised their hands, their faces filled with happiness. They were completely immersed in their fantasy of braised pork and pig trotters. After settling the two, Bailey Hongzhuang looked around the crowd again. Suddenly, Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes widened. In the crowd, she saw a very unexpected guest, Wei Mei Dai. That day in the Pill Masters Guild, she had made Wei Mei Dai lose a lot of face. But today, she unexpectedly came to bid at the auction. The most important thing, though, was that only Azure Water School students could enter Azure Water School. Could it be that Wei Mei Dai was actually an Azure Water School student too? Right now, Wei Mei Dai felt very depressed. Although she was an Azure Water School student, she was usually refining pills and rarely came to the school. Before, when she heard Bailey Hongzhuang was auctioning off 3 channel opening pills in Azure Water School, although she was really interested, she decided that she wasn't going to go. The first time she faced Bailey Hongzhuang, she had lost too much face. Normally, she was very creative, but in front of Bailey Hongzhuang, she couldn't say anything. Even her master could only swallow his anger against Bailey Hongzhuang. She never wanted to see her again. But this morning, her master sent her to the school and told her that she needed to get the channel opening pills no matter what. Chapter 359. Wei Mei Dai never wanted to come to Azure Water School. Besides, was it going to bid for Bailey Hongzhuang's channel opening pills tantamount to directly bringing about her own humiliation? She was a rather prominent figure, so there was no way Bailey Hongzhuang would sell her the channel opening pills. If it was her, there was no way she'd sell the channel opening pills to Bailey Hongzhuang. But she couldn't disobey her master and could only brace herself to go. She also knew what her master planned to do. The reason why Bailey Hongzhuang had been able to be so arrogant toward her master was only because she held the long-lost channel opening pills in her hand. If her master could research and figure out the channel opening pills recipe, Bailey Hongzhuang wouldn't have the qualifications to be so arrogant. Then, Bailey Hongzhuang wouldn't have any capital to be so unbridled in front of them. Thinking up to here, the depression on Wei Mei Dai's face disappeared. For a gentleman to take revenge, not even 10 years were too long. Even if she doesn't have any methods to deal with Bailey Hongzhuang now, there'll definitely be one someday. Before long, she'll definitely force Bailey Hongzhuang to kowtow to her for forgiveness. Wife, what are you watching? Bei Chen noticed Bailey Hongzhuang watching the crowd interestedly and finally couldn't help but ask as he stood beside her. Bailey Hongzhuang's lips curled, a playful smile dancing at her lips. It's nothing. Just a few enemies were attracted to the auction. It really is lively. Wifey has enemies in Azure Water School. Bei Chen raised the tip of his brows, his eyes turning cold. Daring to make enemies of his wife, he won't let them have an easy time. Bailey Hongzhuang smiled and shook her head. No, it's just some small trouble, nothing serious. As cultivators, there was never a lack of trouble. Because everyone were cultivators, there was naturally pride, arrogance along with strength. Thus, it was very normal for a small conflict to explode and magnify. The more talented the cultivator, the more conflicts there'd be. That was a commonly known fact. And she, Bailey Hongzhuang, never feared trouble. Daring to look for trouble with her, they need to prepare to pay the price. Bei Chen saw Bailey Hongzhuang's confident appearance and set away his worries. Conflicts among cultivators were indeed very common. As long as it wasn't too complex, his wifey could solve it herself. Hongzhuang, Ling Jiasin, and Lu Jingquan both came. They probably want to make some trouble, so you have to prepare yourself. Dongfang Yu frowned with a trace of worry as he warned her. Bailey Hongzhuang nodded slightly, a confident smile on her lips. "Don't worry, I can deal with it." There was a saying, "Virtue was 1 foot tall, and the devil 10 foot. One must always be vigilant to stave off danger." She could almost already imagine Ling Jiasin and the others' plan. Since they wanted to do it like that, she'll follow their wishes and teach them a lesson, trying to steal a chicken only to end up losing the rice to lure it. It wasn't long before the students all finished writing and placed their slip of paper into the box. Bailey Hongzhuang took the box and began to read through the papers. Not all the papers were the same, but most of them just contained things like points and demonic beast crystals. For Bailey Hongzhuang, the things she wanted most were points. After she went to the cultivation pagoda, she understood how big of a benefit the energies of the pagoda had on her cultivation, so she longed for points very much. She believed that after the auction was over, she'd be able to cultivate in there for a very long time. Chapter 360, looking at the slips of paper in her hand. Bailey Hongzhuang chose the 3 with the highest value. 3,000 points, 50 demonic crystals. 2,000 points, 30 demonic crystals. 2,000 points, 30 demonic crystals. These 3 best suited Bailey Hongzhuang's intentions, especially these points that would allow her to train for another period of time in the cultivation pagoda. She believed that, by then, her cultivation would make another breakthrough. Xia Jiqing saw the prices on these 3 slips of paper and couldn't help gasping. Their value was too high. In the Azure Water School, the most important thing for students was the cultivation pagoda. It couldn't even be bought with money. The rest of the slips of paper were mostly a couple hundred points, with the highest being just over 1,000. Even just that was as much as a student's hard-earned savings. Who would have expected that there were people writing such sky-high prices? She could only watch enviously. "I've already decided." Bailey Hongzhuang faced the audience and waved the 3 bills, a charming smile on her beautiful face. After Bailey Hongzhuang spoke, the audience could feel their hearts tightening. They didn't know who Bailey Hongzhuang had chosen in the end. Lin Qinru, Huang Fuyun, and Xia Chuyan. Ling Jiasin frowned when she heard the first name. She was confident that their offer was already high, and it ought to be impossible for anyone to offer more. How could their plan be ruined from out of the blue? Luckily, hearing the following 2 names, she sighed in relief. At least 2 of the channel opening pills had fallen into their hands. As for the third, they'd think of a way. Wei Meidai had a proud expression on her face. She originally thought that the mission master had given her would be very difficult. Who would have thought it would be settled so effortlessly? As a pill master, she was rich. Whether it was points or demonic crystals, she was definitely not lacking. To her, the most important thing wasn't her cultivation, but pill refining. Thus, it didn't matter even if she had to give away all her points. Besides, as a pill master, would she be lacking these things? Besides Wei Meidai's 3, the rest of the students whose bids had failed had faces full of disappointment. My bid was already very high. How could I lose? Just how much did those 3 pay? Yeah, I also thought I had bid high enough to get one. Somehow, I actually failed. That's a channel opening pill. I didn't expect such a great opportunity would slip away after I prepared for so long. Seeing that everyone was extremely curious about the price, Bailey Hongzhuang directly read out the bids on the 3 slips of paper. Hearing those numbers, cries of alarm rang through the site. My God, 3,000 points. That's really too much. Does our school have a student with so many points? 2,000 points. That's more than all the points I've ever earned added together. There truly are people beyond people and skies beyond skies. No wonder we lost. However, I've never heard those 3 names before, so I wonder who the winners are. Bailey Hongzhuang's gaze stopped briefly on Ling Jiasin's 3. The 3 of them looked full of confidence, so their bids must be high. She was convinced that the 3 slips of papers in her hand belongs to the 3 of them. Could the 3 fellow students please climb onto the stage? Bailey Hongzhuang said with a laugh. The light and elegant sound was like a forest breeze, moving the heart. Chapter 361 Wei Meidai, Ling Jiasin, and Lu Jinquan walked up to the stage under everybody's startled eyes. When they saw the three's appearances, the audience was in an uproar. Isn't that Ling Jiasin? None of the names Bailey Hongzhuang read out just now seemed to be her Wei Meidai and Lu Jinquan both didn't use their real names. What the hell is this? Could it be that the three planned this prior? I don't know, but I heard that Ling Jiasin and Lu Jinquan both are in conflict with Bailey Honghao, so it's not strange for them to use a fake name. But why is Wei Meidai as well? Ling Jiasin stood proudly on the stage, staring at Bailey Honghao mockingly. You never thought that the one who bidded for the channel opening pill was me, right? Bailey Hongzhuang looked at the three indifferently, completely ignoring Ling Jiasin's words. Not waiting for Bailey Hongzhuang to speak, Xia Jiqing already shouted first. Ling Jiasin, I never thought you'd be shameless enough to use a fake name. She'd long known that Ling Jiasin didn't come with good intentions, and still didn't know what she was trying to find trouble with. Ling Jiasin glanced at Xia Jimon coldly. Auctions have always been about the highest bid, not the name. So is there something wrong if I use that name to bid? Am I wrong, Bailey Hongzhuang? Ling Jiasin stared at Bailey Hongzhuang, her face confident and proud. Bailey Hongzhuang smiled. What you said is correct. The highest bidder wins, and whatever name you use has nothing to do with me. Even if you change your name to Pighead, I wouldn't care either. Hearing this, Ling Jiasin's smile disappeared, her face instantly turning unsightly. This Bailey Hongzhuang was truly too good at infuriating people. The originally angry Xia Jiqing couldn't help but laugh when she heard Pighead. That name truly fitted Ling Jiasin very well. Wei Meidai originally thought about speaking against Bailey Hongzhuang, but didn't expect for Ling Jiasin to do it first. A touch of disdain and hate appeared in her black eyes. It seems like a lot of people really hate Bailey Hongzhuang. Since we already won the bid for the channel opening pill, get it to us. Lu Jinquan's eyes were gloomy and cold. Since he had met Bailey Hongzhuang, he had always suffered losses. Now, he would finally pay Bailey Hongzhuang back for everything. You aren't that shameless, right? Lu Jinquan smiled proudly. Although there were no changes on Bailey Hongzhuang's face, he believed that her heart right now was already furious. She must have never expected for them to be the ones who bidded for the channel opening pills. But who knew how Lu Jinquan would feel if Bailey Hongzhuang actually knew that they were the ones who had written the bids, yet chose them anyways? Bailey Hongzhuang smiled lightly and elegantly, seeming so natural and unrestrained that not only did it seem like Ling Jiasin and Lu Jinquan did not bother her at all, but even made it so they seemed petty. Naturally, I will. This is a fair and just auction. If you three hand over the items written on the paper, the channel opening pills belong to you guys. Ling Jiasin thought about Bailey Honghao's former style, and doubt flashed across her face. What's with today's Bailey Hongzhuang? Why does she seem so different from before? If right now Bailey Hongzhuang got up and started to argue with her, she would feel some pleasure. But Bailey Hongzhuang's gentle and polite appearance made her feel extremely uncomfortable, as if she had swallowed a fly. Chapter 362. Hongzhuang, you really want to sell the channel opening pill to Ling Jiasin and the others? Lu Qinyue's face was awkward and doubtful. At the current stage, it was near impossible not to, but Ling Jiasin and the rest clearly held bad intentions. If the channel opening pills were really handed over to them, won't they be setting themselves up for trouble? Gong Xiaoqing watched Bailey Hongzhuang's indifferent appearance and thought a bit. Hongzhuang should have already thought of a countermeasure. No need to worry. Dong Fangyu was somewhat anxious, and he couldn't help but look at Di Bei Chen across from him. He was Bailey Honghao's husband, so he should be more worried than anybody else. But Di Bei Chen was just lazily standing to the side, completely relaxed. It seemed as if he didn't care about it at all. Di Bei Chen's lips were curved into a handsome smile. These little schemes were simply nothing for Hongzhuang. From his understanding of Bailey Hongzhuang, she never feared anybody under the heavens. There was no way that she would act against her, well, just because many people were watching. Since Bailey Hongzhuang was like that, she should already have a plan. Ling Jiaxin and the others watched Bailey Hongzhuang skeptically. Her actions today were really unusual. But after the three thought a bit, they ended up chalking it down as today's circumstances being different. Wei Meidai looked at Bailey Hongzhuang coldly. She never planned to say anything to Bailey Hongzhuang. After her master researches the channel opening pill, she'll definitely return to give Bailey Hongzhuang a lesson. After the three handed Bailey Hongzhuang the points and demonic beast crystals, Bailey Hongzhuang gave them the channel opening pills. After this, the auction was officially over. Walking off of the stage, Ling Jiaxin was filled with pride. Bailey Hongzhuang's usually always so arrogant, but today she was actually so terrified. She didn't even let me feel a bit of satisfaction. Haha, now that Yinyang's back, Bailey Hongzhuang's time of arrogance is already over. Lu Jingquan laughed. After Wei Meidai got the channel opening pill, she no longer stayed at Azure Water School and hurried to get the channel opening pill to her master so it could be studied thoroughly. After the three left, Xia Jiqing immediately asked, "Hongzhuang, are you all right?" Bailey Hongzhuang's lips curved into a smile. "I'm fine, of course I'm all right." Then, Xia Jiqing opened her mouth embarrassed, wanting to speak before ultimately closing it. Bailey Hongzhuang smiled. "Jiqing, I want to trouble you with something." "What?" Xia Jiqing was immediately revitalized. She was just worried that Hongzhuang was in low spirits because of what had just happened. Bailey Hongzhuang once again took out 3 slips of paper from her sleeve. "I want to trouble you to find these 3 people. If they want, sell the channel opening pills to them for the price that's on the paper." Xia Jiqing looked at the 3 slips of paper, astonished. She was confused, not knowing what Bailey Hongzhuang wanted to do. But she also didn't ask. As long as it could help Hongzhuang, it was good. "No problem, leave it to me." Xia Jiqing confidently hit her own chest. "I'm an expert at doing these kinds of things." Seeing Xia Jiqing prepare to leave, Bai Junyu beside her couldn't help but shout, "Jiqing, I'll go with you." Xia Jiqing glanced at Bai Junyu. "Your injury still isn't healed. It's better for you to stay and recover." "It's nothing. I've already healed to the point where it's no longer a hindrance." Bai Junyu smiled as he followed her. Chapter 363, Special Enrollment Student Dormitory. Passing by Bailey Hongzhuang's room, Dong Fangyu and company were full of doubts in their hearts. However, seeing that Bei Chun and Bailey Hongzhuang seemed to long have something to say to each other, they left soon after. Bailey Hongzhuang slowly walked into her room. As she prepared to close the door, she saw Bei Chun standing there, his body against the frame of the door, exuding a lazy and devilish attitude. Standing there, "You're in the way of me closing my door," Bailey Hongzhuang said languidly, eyebrows raised. Bei Chun blinked innocently, looking lonely and sad. "Wifey, my actions were so straightforward. Are you not going to invite me in for a bit?" Looking at the expression on Bei Chun's face, Bailey Hongzhuang also felt a bit of helplessness. This guy really played the shameless rascal to the point of sadness? "If you want to come in, then come in." Hearing that, the sad and lonely look on Bei Chun's face disappeared without a trace, replaced by a joy that was filled with a devilish air about it. On the surface, wifey is stubborn, but still loves hubby deep in her heart. "Love your head," Bailey Hongzhuang returned coldly. "With this guy, it was really give an inch, and he'll take a foot." Bei Chun pulled on Bailey Hongzhuang's hand and with a single move, pulled her directly into his embrace. Bang! Bailey Hongzhuang's back was against the wall. Bei Chun placed his 2 hands against the wall on both sides of her body, his handsome face right up against hers. "Wifey, if you say such things, hubby would really be heartbroken." His deep black eyes glittered with seductiveness, yet hid a trace of sadness. His words also held a trace of loneliness. Although she knew this guy was faking this sadness and loneliness, she really had to say that this guy's acting was very realistic. Hearing Bei Chun's words, Bailey Hongzhuang felt a bit of unbearableness in her heart. Looking at that extraordinary handsome face, even though she had seen it many times, she couldn't help but admit that it was damn good looking. No flaws in all 360 degrees. No matter what angle, it was impeccable. Even at this moment, when it was so close, she couldn't even pick out the slightest flaw on his skin. Seeing Bailey Hongzhuang looking blankly at his appearance, Bei Chen's lips curved up into a devilishly seductive smile. Wifey, is hubby good-looking? Bailey Hongzhuang felt stricken. The shame, the shame. She even let herself stare at his face, forgetting the current situation. She gave an angry glare at this guy. He was definitely wretched and vile. It's average, it can just barely pass, Bailey Hongzhuang said, words not matching her heart. Bei Chan had a slightly unsatisfied look as he lifted his eyebrow. Just average. The handsome face moved even closer, and in a blink of an eye, the distance between Bei Chan and Bailey Hongzhuang was only a centimeter. As long as there was even a slight movement, their faces would touch each other's. In hubby's heart, wifey is the most beautiful woman in the world. Thin lips opened slightly as sincere words flowed out. Bei Chen's breath fell on Bailey Hongzhuang's face, very intimate. Bailey Hongzhuang stiffened. A faint blush of crimson flooded her face. This damn guy obviously knew her weak points. With a single push at Bei Chen, she liberated herself from the intimate atmosphere. Bailey Hongzhuang took a breath of fresh air before her expression returned to normal. Bei Chen turned his body, full of laughter as he looked at the sulking Bailey Hongzhuang sitting on her bed. His heart softened. His wifey is really cute. Did she know that just no? He had to use all this strength just so that he could restrain himself from kissing her forehead. Chapter 364, You've been spouting flowery all day. Bailey Hongzhuang gave Bei Chen a despising look. This guy was a sweet talker of the highest levels. Bei Chen's face was in constant smiles. It was too embarrassing for his lady to speak about this. Speaking of this, Bailey Hongzhuang's usual appearance was always calm and indifferent. Her current blushed, embarrassed appearance like a newlywed daughter was truly too charming. Even if I really am sweet-talking, then it's only for wifey's ears alone. If it was another woman, then I definitely wouldn't speak a single sentence. Bailey Hongzhuang raised her brows. I'll assume you're talking nonsense. Husband is saying the truth. Bei Chen stressed his words. Bailey Hongzhuang was about to mock Bei Chen's words. She didn't believe that if she was replaced by a different woman, that Bei Chen would be too lazy to speak a single sentence. But when she lifted her head, Bailey Hongzhuang immediately saw the earnestness in Bei Chen's eyes. His deep and bewitching eyes were filled with sincerity and truth. The earnestness in Bei Chen's eyes flashed away, instantly replaced by its previous teasing appearance. Bailey Hongzhuang was startled. That emotion disappeared too fast, so she didn't have enough time to see it clearly. Wifey, why did you sell the 3-channel opening pills to Ling Jiasin and the others? It isn't like your style at all. His thin, cherry blossom lips stretched into a demonic smile as banter and confidence shone in his eyes. His wife would definitely get revenge. A sly smile was on her delicate, enchanting face as Bailey Hongzhuang narrowed her eyes. How isn't it my style? In my opinion, the channel opening pills you gave them were fake, right? Bei Chen's smile widened a little, his handsome face filled with confidence. They hadn't known each other so long for nothing. Something definitely had to be up. Bailey Hongzhuang was always one that couldn't bear having grit in one's eye, so, with whatever important, she would consider all factors regardless of the law and of natural morality. There was no way that because of the audience's pressure, Bailey Hongzhuang would give the channel opening pills to the 3 so easily. If Bailey Hongzhuang was unwilling, why wouldn't she just not hold another auction again? A trace of astonishment appeared in Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes. Nobody there saw what she intended, but Bei Chen did. How did you know? Bailey Hongzhuang couldn't help but ask. Bei Chen smiled somewhat proudly. That's naturally based on my understanding of wife. Bailey Hongzhuang twitched her lips. It doesn't matter if Bei Chen knew her plan, as long as those three idiots, Ling Jiaxin and the others, didn't. If she didn't guess wrongly, after Ling Jiaxin won the channel opening pill, she'd go around spreading rumors about its uselessness, and that it was a fake channel opening pill. With their IQ, they'd only be able to think of such a way to destroy her reputation. Since Ling Jiaxin was going to tell everyone that it was fake, she might as well give her a fake one to begin with. Against their team, about who everybody would believe, she also had many ways. As for Wei Meidai's participation in the auction, it was definitely overwatched by Gu Songyan. Research a way to study the channel opening pill? If the channel opening pill was really so easy to study, then pill recipes wouldn't be such a secret. Bei Chen looked at Bai Shi. The king character on his forehead had disappeared, and he now seemed like an ordinary, dumb pet contract beast. A trace of admiration shone in his deep pupils. Bailey Hongzhuang truly had many methods, always surprising people so. Chapter 365. Ling Jiaxin and Lu Jingquan held the channel opening pills, their faces filled with excitement. The benefits the channel opening pill brings for cultivators were huge. Pang Yunxiang followed behind the two, a trace of helplessness and gloominess on his face. The three of them had clearly bidded the same price, but Bailey Hongzhuang picked only two of them, Ling Jiaxin and Lu Jingquan. This was the first time Dai Yunyang had entrusted something for him to handle, yet he had already failed. If this made Dai Yunyang unhappy with his capability, that would be a great loss. Miss Ling, what do we do about the pill that was bought by Wei Meidai? Lu Jingquan frowned slightly. Originally, according to their plan, all three channel opening pills should have been theirs. But nobody expected Wei Meidai to appear and change that. So, even if they accused Bailey Hongzhuang, wouldn't it all be worthless? Everybody already knew that the two of them held deep grudges with Bailey Hongzhuang. So if they said that it was fake, and Wei Meidai said that it was real, it was obvious who everybody would believe. Ling Jiaxin's face also became a little worried. They had finally found a way for Bailey Hongzhuang to cry every day in regret with great difficulty and call uselessly. So how could it all be ruined now? How about we go and sound out Wei Meidai? Ling Jiaxin suggested. As long as we give her some benefits, Wei Meidai should agree to act with us. Lu Jingquan nodded. Right, let's go to probe Wei Meidai's intentions. Wei Meidai immediately went to leave with the channel opening pill. Many people coveted the pill in Azure Water City, so she had to give it to her master as soon as possible. But Wei Meidai suddenly stopped walking, blocked by somebody. Wei Meidai couldn't help but be a bit startled. She was about to use her identity as a pill master to intimidate them out of the way, but when she saw that it was Ling Jiaxin and the others from earlier, a flash of doubt couldn't help but appear in her eyes. What are you guys doing? Ling Jiaxin smiled brightly, walking a bit closer. Miss Wei, we came to ask for your help. Wei Meidai raised an eyebrow. With what? Would Miss Wei be potentially interested in selling the channel opening pill to us? Hearing her words, Wei Meidai glanced at Ling Jiaxin and firmly shook her head. Out of question, this pill is too useful for me. If it's just this, there's no need to speak anymore. I won't be selling this pill to you. A trace of disappointment passed through Ling Jiaxin's eyes, but Wei Meidai's reply didn't come as a surprise for her. With Wei Meidai's identity as a pill master, she had no shortage of money, so why would she possibly want to sell it to them? Wei Meidai was done speaking and prepared to leave, but when she saw Lu Jingquan and Pang Yunxiang still blocking her way, she frowned. I already spoke. What are you guys still trying to do? Ling Jiaxin thought for a bit. Since there was no hope in buying the channel opening pill from her, she could only do her best and try something. If she failed, she'd just die losing to Bailey Hongzhuang. Thinking up to here, Ling Jiaxin lowered her voice. What does Miss Wei think about Bailey Hongzhuang? Wei Meidai glanced at Ling Jiaxin doubtfully, not understanding why she was suddenly asking such a question. Don't tell her that. News about her and Bailey Hongzhuang at the Pill Masters Guild had already spread to here. On that day, Many people were present on the scene, but there weren't any Azure Water School student, so it should have already transmitted outwards. Just say what you want to say, okay? Wei Meidai's voice was cold as she stared at Ling Jiesen's group of three. If they wanted to threaten her, she wasn't that simple. Chapter 366. There's some hatred between us and Bailey Hongzhuang, so we hope that Miss Wei might help us say a lie. Ling Jiesen slowly told her thoughts to Wei Meidai. As she spoke, she carefully observed Wei Meidai's expressions. Although she knew that the chances of success were small, she still wanted to try her best. If she succeeded, then this time she'd be able to release all of her resentment. When Wei Meidai heard all of Ling Jiesen's words, her heart was surprised for a long time before turning somewhat proud. As early as the channel opening pills auction, she knew that Ling Jiesen and Bailey Hongzhuang were enemies. But she hadn't expected Ling Jiesen to have been able to come up with such a way to deal with Bailey Hongzhuang. But she liked it. Miss Wei, I know this is somewhat forceful, but I hope that you can help us. If you want compensation, say it. As long as we can get it, we'll definitely get it. If it wasn't for Bailey Hongzhuang's bullying to be so intolerable, we wouldn't go so far to do this. Ling Jiesen put on a pitiful expression. She believed that most women wouldn't have a very favorable impression of such a beautiful woman like Bailey Hongzhuang. Wei Meidai's lips curved into a proud smile, a resentful light flashing through her eyes. That damned Bailey Hongzhuang. She hadn't even started to deal with her yet, and there was already someone else itching to get rid of her. If everybody heard about this, she'd like to see what face Bailey Hongzhuang would have then. That talented Genius Pill Master title would also be unable to be kept. I promise you. Wei Meidai smiled gently. Hearing Wei Meidai's words, Ling Jiesen wouldn't help but be startled. I don't need any compensation. I've also long found Bailey Hongzhuang to be a thorn in my eye. I only need to do a slight effort, that's all. I'll help you. Wei Meidai spoke ruthlessly. Just make Bailey Hongzhuang suffer. Ling Jiesen and the others' eyes lit up in excitement. They originally thought that convincing Wei Meidai was going to be very difficult, and that even if they succeed, they'd have to pay a big price. So they hadn't thought that Wei Meidai would agree so easily, and even not demand any compensation. From Wei Meidai's words, Ling Jiesen knew that Bailey Hongzhuang and Wei Meidai were foes with each other. So they were both facing the same enemy. So Miss Wei had previous conflicts with Bailey Hongzhuang. Ling Jiesen smiled softly. That woman was truly a loathsome existence from birth. Don't worry, this time we'll definitely make Bailey Hongzhuang suffer a complete defeat. After Ling Jiesen's words, the four, including Wei Meidai, shared a look, a knowing, delighted smile on everyone's faces. While Wei Meidai and Ling Jiesen were talking about their plan, Xia Zhiman and Bai Junyu were helping Bailey Hongzhuang find the three people on her notes. They finally found them and brought them to the special enrollment student dormitory. Jiang Peng's face was filled with doubt and confusion. He was Xiao Zifen's friend and had always yearned for the channel opening pill for a very long time. Before, he had wanted to rely on Xiao Zifen and Bailey Hongzhuang's friendly relationship to buy a channel opening pill from her. But then he heard news about Bailey Hongzhuang's auction for the channel opening pills. For the past 7 days, he had resorted to every possible way to get the demonic crystals and points. He thought that his amount was already enough, but he didn't expect for him to still fail. But just as he was feeling depressed, Xia Zhiman and Bai Junyu suddenly found him and brought him to meet Bailey Hongzhuang. Chapter 367. Hongzhuang. These are the three people whose names were on the slip of paper, Xia Jiqing smilingly said. Though she didn't know what Hongzhuang wanted to do, since it was a task Hongzhuang gave to her, she would definitely guarantee its completion. Thank you both. Bailey Hongzhuang's beautiful eyes shone with thankfulness. It was because she didn't want to attract attention that she had Xia Jiqing help her search for these people. After all, the auction had ended not long ago, and she believed that there were still many people paying attention to her movements. So as to not give the game away, she could only request Xia Jiqing to look for people in her stead. Miss Bailey, may I inquire of the reason you've asked us to come here for? Although he was confused, Jiang Peng's heart was filled with excitement. Whatever it is, Bailey Hongzhuang was publicly recognized as their school's goddess. Being so close to the goddess was already something worthy of envy. Bailey Hongzhuang nodded slightly, the corners of her mouth softening into an enchanting smile. I have 3 channel opening pills here. Would you 3 like to buy them with the same prices you mid-dead for earlier? Since Ling Jiasin wanted to use the channel opening pills to slander her, then she would do the same and use the channel opening pills to find witnesses to testify the authenticity for her. Hearing Bailey Honghaung's words, Jiang Pengze and the rest were astonished. The pleasant surprise was too sudden, and they didn't know how to reply. Miss Bailey, is what you said true? Jiang Pengze spoke somewhat hurriedly, his eyes filled with anticipation and luster. Bailey Hongzhuang nodded softly. Of course it's true. We naturally want to, but Miss Bailey, why did you call us over to sell it? Couldn't you have just done it directly at the auction? Jiang Pengze asked the question in his heart. The other 2 both looked curiously at Bailey Honghaung. This really did seem a strange Bailey Hongzhuang smiled slightly. I naturally understand your doubts. In fact, I also did this because I had no other option. Xia Jiqing and Bai Junyu's eyes were also filled with curiosity. So far, they still hadn't understood what Bailey Hongzhuang wanted to do. Lu Jingquan and Ling Jiasin both have some grudges against me. I believe you already know so, right? Bailey Honghaung shone, seeming gentle and soft as her entire body seemed to glow with moonlight. It gave others a very comfortable feeling. Everybody couldn't help but listen attentively to Bailey Hongzhuang. The goddess's words were naturally correct. We know. To be quite honest, there's also a conflict between me and Wei Meidai. Thus, the 3 all used fake names to successfully bid for the channel opening pill. Jiang Pengze felt a burst of astonishment. They really hadn't expected for them to all join hands to go against Bailey Hongzhuang. So then like this, today's auction was filled with conspiracies and plots. I think that it's very possible that after they bought the channel opening pills, that they'll start false rumors about how the channel opening pills were all fakes. So I wanted to sell 3 more channel opening pills to you 3, intending for you guys to verify the authenticity of the pill, so I can clear my name. Hearing this, everyone's eyes widened in shock. They had long guessed that Ling Jiasin and the others held bad intentions, but hadn't expected for them to have such a sinister plan. Ling Jiasin and the others are really too treacherous. Xia Jiqing spoke angrily. She was wondering why Hongzhuang was doing this, so it was actually to defend against such a plot. If Ling Jiasin and the rest didn't do it, then that's all. But if they really did do it, Hongzhuang wouldn't have any preparation, and when the moment came, there would be too many rumors to clear. Support me on Patreon for early chapter access. Chapter 368. Miss Bailey, don't worry. If they want to act like that, we'll definitely prove them wrong. Jiang Pengze's eyes shined with sincerity. Bailey Hongzhuang was his heart's goddess. As Xiao Zifen's friend, he naturally will stand on Bailey Honghaung's side. Right, don't worry, Miss Bailey. Following Jiang Pengze's words, the other 2 also made their opinions clear. Then many thanks to you 3. Bailey Hongzhuang gave them a smile. I guarantee this channel opening pill's authenticity. If you guys don't believe it, there's no problem in taking it to a pill master for appraisal. Seeing Bailey Hongzhuang's calm and sincere attitude, the 3 completely relaxed their hearts. They were very clear that there was no need for Bailey Honghaung to give them a fake channel opening pill. With Bailey Honghaung's capabilities, even if she didn't have the channel opening pill recipe, her talent was already enough for everybody praise. Jiang Pengze and the others bought the channel opening pill and returned without the slightest hesitation. This was an extremely rare chance. After they went back, they had the ability to brag it. After Jiang Pengze and the others left, Xia Jiqing spoke. Hongzhuang, do you think Ling Jiasin and the others will really do such a thing? Bailey Hongzhuang smiled softly. a mocking light appearing in her ink-black eyes. They will definitely do so. She was almost completely certain Ling Jiasin and the rest held such an intention from the beginning. But since the pill she had given them really was fake, Ling Jiasin and others would have to do so. Xiaozhiman didn't know the thousands of thoughts twisting around in Bailey Hongzhuang's mind and only felt her contempt for Ling Jiasin to reach an extreme point. Such a shameless person was truly rarely seen. Bai Junyu's eyes were also filled with a disgusted light. As a cultivator with the ability to go face-to-face, using such despicable means were truly shameful. If Ling Jiasin and the others really want to sow, tomorrow will be a good show. Xia Jiqing's eyes twinkled with excitement. As she thought about that loathsome woman's face after seeing Bailey Honghaung's performance, she was filled with anticipation. Bailey Honghaung's smile widened somewhat, her eyes as bright as stars. We'll see very soon. Ling Jiasin and the others had already happily returned back to their homes. They hadn't expected everything to go so smoothly today, so it really made them glad. Ling Jiasin saw Dai Yunyang cultivating as soon as she opened the door, a happy and intimate light appearing on her charming face. Yunyang, we returned. Dai Yunyang exited cultivation and turned to look at the three people. Dai Yunyang wore a dark green robe, 3,000 strands on inky hair flowing from his head. His appearance was very handsome, but his eyes held a trace of darkness, giving him a treacherous feeling. If Bailey Honghaung was here, she would have discovered that Dai Yunyang and Dai Jimon looked very similar, but were equally horrid. Chapter 369. A faint smile was on Dai Yunyang's face, but the depths of his eyes held no smile at all. You guys returned. What about that matter? A few problems happened midway. Ling Jiasin said. Ling Jiasin's voice grew smaller. Dai Yunyang frowned, his voice gloomy and cold. What problems? He had already thought over the plan for a long time and made sure everything would go smoothly. So what went wrong? We only got 2 of the 3 channel opening pills. The last one was bitted away by Wei Meidai. Ling Jiasin spoke truthfully, intimately sitting next to Dai Yunyang. After not seeing him for so long, she had really missed him. Yesterday, he had come back with great difficulty, but had only been discussing how to deal with Bailey Honghaung and didn't get time to interact with each other. Dai Yunyang's face instantly darkened. How was it like this? When he had gotten his father's letter, he was furious. Dai Jimon was his beloved sister, and the 2 of them were very close, especially with both of them successfully enrolling into Azure Water School. There was no lack of people envious of them. He had always thought that in the future, the 2 of them, brother and sister, would be able to create their own sky. But that wretched trash actually dared to kill his sister? It cannot be forgiven. He absolutely refused to let Jimon die in vain. Bailey Hongzhuang must be buried with Jimon. He didn't spare anything to get the 3 channel opening pills, yet Ling Jiasin actually said they'd failed. Ling Jiasin paid attention to Dai Yunyang's annoyed tone and didn't dare to hold anything back, immediately standing up to explain. But even though we don't have the 3rd channel opening pill, you don't have to worry. We talked to Wei Meidai about teaming up. Ling Jiasin's face shined with excitement. Yunyang, did you know? That Wei Meidai also loathes Bailey Hongzhuang very much and joined us immediately after hearing the plan. She just didn't sell the channel opening pill to us. Hearing that, Dai Yunyang's originally angry face dissipated somewhat, a trace of doubt still in his eyes as he asked, Are you certain? Ling Jiasin nodded her head. I am 100% certain. By the side, Lu Jingkuan and Peng Yunxiang, who were watching immediately, also nodded their heads. Brother Yang, we had specially asked around for this reason. A couple of days ago, Bailey Hongzhuang had a fight with Wei Meidai in the Pill Masters Guild. The 2 didn't just fight with words. Bailey Hongzhuang even hit Wei Meidai, and Wei Meidai's master was also driven furious by Bailey Hongzhuang. Her resentment probably isn't any lighter than ours. After learning about Wei Meidai's attitude, they had walked around asking for news just in case it was a trap. After hearing Lu Jingkuan's confirmation, Dai Yunyang's face seemed to turn a lot better. This was a fabulous opportunity. If they failed, then it'd be very difficult to find trouble with Bailey Hongzhuang again. If it was only Bailey Hongzhuang, dealing with her wouldn't be an issue at all. But right now, there was Bailey Hongzhuang and Dong Fengyu, Gong Xiaoqing, and all those others with relationships to her. Wanting to handle her now would be very troublesome. After all, Gong Xiaoqing, Dong Fengyu, they were all the best students in the special enrollment divinity, and their strength was no exaggeration. And the channel opening pill? Dai Yunyang asked. Ling Jiesin and Lu Jingquan showed him their pills. Both channel opening pills are here. Ling Jiesin's eyes seemed to have a hint of drool in them. As a cultivator, she naturally knew how effective the channel opening pill was. She hoped that she would also be able to get one. Chapter 371 Channel Opening Pill was enough for one cultivator, so with two, maybe one of them would be hers. Ling Jiesin looked expectantly at Dai Yunyang. With the channel opening pill, she believed that her strength would once again be able to make a huge leap. You guys leave first, Dai Yunyang said slowly. Lu Jingquan and Peng Yun Xiang naturally wanted the channel opening pill, but they were clear that it was impossible for one to be given to them. The two immediately nodded and left, but Ling Jiesin stayed where she was. Ling Jiesin leaned on Dai Yunyang, a happy smile on her dainty face. Yunyang, I haven't seen you for so long. I really missed you. Dai Yunyang glacéed at Ling Jiesin, a trace of a smile on his face. Without me accompanying you, you were really lonely, huh? Ling Jiesin nodded her head. Every day, I was waiting for you to come back. When you weren't here, Bailey Hongzhuang was always bullying me. Now that you're back, I can finally take a breath. Hearing that, Dai Yunyang's eyes flashed with ruthlessness. Not only did that damned Bailey Hongzhuang kill his beloved sister, she had even dared to bully Ling Jiesin like this. She really didn't put him into her eyes. Don't worry, now that I'm back, it won't ever happen again. Ling Jiesin's face was filled with smiles as she rested her head on Dai Yunyang's shoulder. Her voice was soft and coquettish as she spoke. Yunyang, the channel opening pill, can you give one of them to me? She originally didn't have many resources for cultivation, and after losing the bet with Bailey Hongzhuang, she had basically lost all of her belongings. There was simply no way for her to win the channel opening pill. Plus, she knew that it was nearly impossible to want to buy the pill from Bailey Hongzhuang. Dai Yunyang's face changed somewhat, his eyes narrowing as he looked at Ling Jiesin, a trace of ridicule and disgust in his eyes. But it passed in an instant, instantly hidden. Jiesin, it's not that I don't want to give you the channel opening pill, but the pill is more useful for something else. Dai Yunyang explained, a fake smile on his face. Ling Jiesin was startled, her face turning a little dissatisfied. Then what are you going to do with the second pill? This time while going out for practical training, I met a person of very high rank, and most of the riches on me are related to him. Now that I got the channel opening pill, I naturally have to send it to him. You know that coming to this step wasn't easy. I need to seize every opportunity one get. Ling Jiesin understood what he meant, but she still felt somewhat unhappy and refused to talk. Dai Yunyang wrapped his arm around Ling Jiesin's slender waist. Originally, I planned to get all 3 channel opening pills so I could give one to you, but I truly didn't expect for such an accident to happen. Jiesin, you won't blame me, right? Staring into the deep emotion and helplessness in Dai Yunyang's eyes, Ling Jiesin's heart softened and became even more unswerving. Yunyang, of course I wouldn't blame you. I understand your suffering. As long as you love me, it's enough. Ling Jiesin's face was filled with emotion, directly throwing herself into Dai Yunyang's arms. Dai Yunyang's lips curved into a sinister smile. This kind of woman was truly too easy to trick. Right now, trash like Ling Jiesin was only good enough as a playmate when he was bored. How could she really be in his heart? But unfortunately, Ling Jiesin and Dai Yunyang's warm arms couldn't see his face, still thinking about how much he loved her. Chapter 371 First/Second Grade. First/second rank, since second grade sounds inferior to first grade, even though second grade is technically better. After Ling Jiesin left, Dai Yunyang's gaze fell on the two small embroidered boxes. He hadn't expected for the long-lost channel-opening pill to one day fall into his hands. Although buying the two channel-opening pills used a lot of money, just by selling one of them to that man, he would be able to get double the amount back. After carefully placing the two boxes into his space pouch, Dai Yunyang left the dormitory. First, he needed to give the pill to that rich man. Gu Kanjiam took the channel-opening pill from Wei Meidai, his aged face filled with excitement. "Meidai, well done." Gu Songyun smiled and patted Wei Meidai's shoulder. "As long as Master studies the channel-opening pill's recipe, our statuses will become entirely different. Every time a pill master recovered an extinct pill recipe, even if their abilities haven't changed, their positions would become as different as black and white." Wei Meidai smiled. "Master, I believe that you'll definitely be able to research the pill recipe." A trace of pride appeared on Gu Songyun's face. "Master will start studying it today. A rank 2 pill shouldn't be too complicated. You rest early, okay?" Wei Meidai nodded and thought about whether or not she should tell her collaboration with Wei Meidai to her master. But since Master wanted to go into secluded study, it wasn't just a 1-day or 2-day thing. Once Master came out, Bailey Honghao would already be ruined, so there was no point in saying it. After Gu Songyun gestured for Wei Meidai to leave, he entered the pill concoding room. He wanted to study it as soon as possible. Wei Meidai didn't linger for long, quickly leaving. Once Wei Meidai was gone, Gu Songyun stared at the channel-opening pill thinking. He thought that he should take half of it, and that researching it would be easier after experiencing its effects. For cultivators, even 1/2 of the channel-opening pill was enough to be effective and helpful. Gu Songyun took 1/2 of the pill without the slightest hesitation. Meanwhile, Dai Yunyang was also taking the pill with a high-ranking personage. With Dai Yunyang's exaggerations, the noble personage paid a whole 10 times more than what he had bought it for. He had truly made a killing. Little Black and Little White happily enjoyed their feast. Their hands and mouths were covered in grease, the two faces intoxicated. "Master, what kind of pills did you actually sell Ling Jiasin and the others ah?" Little White opened his mouth, filled with pig trotters, to ask. Since it knew that Master had sold them a fake pill, it had always been curious about what kind of drug it was. But because of Dibei Chun being in the way, he had never gotten a chance to ask. Bailey Hongzhuang's lips curved into a thoughtful smile as spoke laughingly. "Laxatives." Hearing this, Little Black and Little White widened their eyes. You can make laxatives look like medicinal pills. Laxatives were only ordinary medicaments, but what Bailey Honghao had sold earlier was clearly a medicinal pill. Bailey Hongzhuang blinked her eyes, the smile on her lips growing increasingly proud. "I sold them laxatives with a little side effect." "What side effect?" Little Black and Little White both opened their mouths to ask. By the side, Baisher also opened his eyes wide, wanting to know as well. "Actually, it's also nothing, just letting their strength drain out alongside their excrement." Bailey Hongzhuang calmly spread out her hands, her face seeming very innocent. Chapter 372. When Little Black, Little White, and Baisher all saw Bailey Hongzhuang's innocent face, a single thought immediately appeared in all of their minds. Black-belly, truly too black-bellied, two-faced. Perhaps only Bailey Hongzhuang could think up of such a scheme. Baisher trembled. It was okay to offend others, but never will he offend Master Ah. Little Black and Little White's eyes were filled with pride. Master's things were truly unique, ah? Whether it was the itching powder, Li Yue's facial scarring, and now the laxatives, Nudie apart from Master could do such a thing. "Master, you made the laxative?" Little Black asked. Master's things were truly strange, and she seemed to have everything. Bailey Hongzhuang nodded slightly. For those kinds of loathsome people, don't you think such a way is a very new idea? Little Black, Little White, and Baisher all stared at Bailey Honghao before immediately nodding. New idea? It really was. After Dai Yunyang and the noble personage Feng Yutong took the channel-opening pills, they happily started to cultivate and circulate their cultivation techniques. Channel opening pills would open up their meridians. Although the process would be somewhat painful, they didn't mind at all. So long as they could make a breakthrough in their strength, this little bit of pain was nothing. Feng Yutang's eyes were filled with excitement. This Dai Yinyang really wasn't bad, even able to get the channel opening pill for him. Although it was very expensive, he was not short of money. If he could get the channel opening pill, does it matter how much he spent? He had even already thought about it. If the channel opening pill really was helpful, he needed to find more ways to get channel opening pills from Bailey Hongzhuang. This sort of extinct pill didn't have a market price, so by reselling it, money would easily be surging in. But after he took the channel opening pill, Feng Yutag didn't feel the pill release any energy and couldn't help but be somewhat doubtful. Dai Yinyang, why don't I feel any response after taking the channel opening pill? Feng Yutang frowned distrustfully. Are you sure this is really the channel opening pill? Dai Yinyang's heart was also filled with confusion. He also hadn't felt anything after taking the channel opening pill. According to his previous experience with medicinal pills, after consuming it, the pill should disperse into a rich surge of energy. Plus, wasn't the channel opening pill still a rank 2 pill? But facing Feng Yutang's questioning, he only gave a confident answer. This is the channel opening pill, there's no mistake. Dai Yinyang's face had a confident smile. The channel opening pill is a primordial pill, so maybe it's special. Let's wait and see. Seeing Dai Yinyang's certainty, Feng Yutang also nodded. He had never taken a channel opening pill before and didn't know the effects of it, so maybe it was supposed to be like this. He believed that Dai Yinyang wouldn't dare to try and trick him with a fake channel opening pill. But even after the two men waited half a day, there was still not the slightest reaction. Dai Yinyang, I think that this channel opening pill is most likely a fake. Feng Yutang's face darkened. With his background, nobody had ever dared to trick him before. Seeing Feng Yutang's gloomy expression, a trace of nervousness appeared on Dai Yinyang's face. Sir Feng, I didn't cheat you, ah? The first thing I did after getting the channel opening pill was going to you. Think, what benefit would I get from cheating you? Chapter 373, Seeing Dai Yinyang so nervous, Feng Yutang's face eased somewhat. However, the trace of suspicion never disappeared. Just because the channel opening pill was extinct, the channel opening pill sold for very high prices in the auction. He and Dai Yinyang had already knew each other for a while, so he had some understanding of the other's character. This guy was always very greedy. If you dare to lie to me, prepare to bear my rage. Feng Yutang narrowed his eyes, his voice cold and threatening. Dai Yinyang's heart shook. He had always just regarded Feng Yutang as a wastrel spending off his family's money, even though he was very disdainful towards Feng Yutang. Since he could fish up a lot of profits from him, he had always been careful not to offend him. Now looking at Feng Yutang's severe appearance, his heart beat like a drum, a trace of fear appearing inside. Sir Feng, I swear, I absolutely didn't lie to you. Dai Yinyang put his hand on his chest to pledge, his expression true and serious. Feng Yutang snorted coldly. You'd better not. Dai Yinyang had just breathed a sigh of relief when suddenly, his expression became extremely ugly. He placed both hands on his belly and felt it spasm violently, extremely uncomfortable. Sir Feng, my stomach helps. I want to go. Dai Yinyang's face was somewhat awkward, but before he could finish speaking, he couldn't bear it and ran directly to the latrine. Feng Yutang looked coldly in the direction Dai Yinyang left in, about to comment disdainfully when a noise suddenly came from his belly. Gurgle. Feng Yutang's face became ugly as a burst of pain came from his stomach, and he also immediately ran to the latrine. The pain was unbearable, but Dai Yinyang was already inside, so he could only unceasingly knock at the door. Dai Yinyang, you come out. I can't hold it. Sir Feng, I'm sorry, I'm not finished. Hurry up, hurry up. Feng Yutang constantly knocked the door, as if he couldn't stop. While Dai Yinyang and Feng Yutang were fighting for the laterine, Gu Sangyan's circumstances was hardly any better. After he took the channel opening pill, he already felt as if something was wrong. As a pill master, he handled pills daily and naturally knew about their effects. Even if channel-opening pills were extinct, they should have some sort of reaction, not like now when nothing's happening. But he still wasn't sure. He believed that the channel-opening pill Wei Mei-Dai returned with was definitely the one she bought from Bailey Hongzhuang. But he didn't know if Bailey Hongzhuang would be so brazen. Selling fake channel-opening pills in front of everybody. Wasn't she worried that she'd be exposed? Then after almost completely collapsing in the latrine, he confirmed that Bailey Hongzhuang really did dig a pit for him. That damn Bailey Honghao. Gu Songyun gnashed his teeth, his eyes filled with hate. He actually underestimated Bailey Hongzhuang. Gu Songyun's heart was filled with regret. He was too impatient, otherwise, studying the channel-opening pills composition would be a breeze. In fact, even though Bailey Hongzhuang had calculated for Ling Jiasin and such to take it, she hadn't expected Gu Songyun to as well. The only reason why she gave Wei Mei-Dai a fake pill as well was just so she could make that old codger, Gu Songyun, mad. Just as Gu Songyun was thinking bitterly, his face once again changed as he ran back to the latrine. Kiki, imagining the noble and elegant, beautiful Bailey Honghao or Bei Chin squatting in the latrine. ROFL, but don't worry. I'm pretty sure cultivators don't eat or poop so. Also, the sentence Bailey Hongzhuang had calculated for Ling Jiasin, and such to take, it was actually supposed to be BH had calculated for Dai Yinyang to take it, but I changed it because it was a plot hole. BH didn't know DY was back yet since he hid his arrival. It was nightfall, the world shrouded by a blanket of darkness. It was quiet and serene. Dai Yinyang and Feng Yutong were collapsed on the couch. They didn't even have the strength to speak. Their faces were deathly pale without any color at all, their hair soaked with sweat. Dai Yinyang stared at the ceiling, finally understanding. It was all because of that channel-opening pill. Bailey Hongzhuang hadn't given him a channel-opening pill, but a laxative. If it wasn't for that, he and Feng Yutong wouldn't be like this right now. Damn Bailey Hongzhuang. Dai Yinyang's face was livid, fuming with rage. He couldn't wait to tear Bailey Honghao to shreds. Dai Yinyang, what is this? Feng Yutong's mind was filled with fury. Never mind becoming stronger, he even felt a little weaker. But after this experience, he knew that it had nothing to do with Dai Yinyang. It was doubtful that he would make himself like this on purpose. Dai Yinyang's eyes were filled with resentment, his voice gloomy and cold. Bailey Hongzhuang must have given us a fake channel-opening pill. That Bailey Hongzhuang's really so daring. Feng Yutong felt a burst of astonishment. This was an extremely popular auction at Azure Water School, so selling a fake in front of so many people, wasn't she afraid of getting her reputation ruined? Hearing Feng Yutong's words, Dai Yinyang's face suddenly turned even more unsightly. They had originally actually planned to destroy Bailey Honghao's reputation by saying the pill was a fake, but didn't expected that the one she gave them really was a fake channel-opening pill. Is it possible that Bailey Hongzhuang already knew about their plan? Thinking ate that possibility, Dai Yinyang couldn't help but tremble. Bailey Hongzhuang couldn't be that intelligent, right? But thinking it over again, Dai Yinyang refused to believe that Bailey Hongzhuang was actually clever enough to see through their plan. The plan was something they had only worked out yesterday. So how could Bailey Honghao have possibly prepared against it? This was surely a mishap. The laxative's strength was truly too strong. After so many coming out, Dai Yinyang and Feng Yutong could no longer stand it, directly falling asleep. Fortunately, they had a cultivator's constitution. Otherwise, they might have not even been able to make it back to the couch. Gu Songyun was much older, and almost all his energy was focused on concocting pills without any diligence toward cultivation. So even though he only took one half of the pill, his collapse was far worse than Dai Yinyang and Feng Yutong's. Lying on the bed, Gu Songyun felt like he had instantly aged 1,000 years without any energy to move. The next day, Bailey Hongzhuang got up brightly, freshening herself up before preparing to watch the big show today. Master, why isn't there still any movement? EU Little Black looked at Bailey Hongzhuang doubtfully, his eyes filled with curiosity. It was eagerly anticipating today's big show, but it's been so long and nothing's still happened. It couldn't help but mutter apprehensively. The corners of Bailey Hongzhuang's lips curved into a thoughtful smile. Wait for it. There shouldn't be news until the afternoon. She made the laxatives herself, so she naturally understood how strong they were. Since she was using it for cultivators, she specially made it ridiculously powerful. Thinking of that, when Dai Yunyang wakes up later and realizes his strength had faded, what would his face look like? Feng Yutong was in a rage, his heart filled with endless regret. If he had known earlier, he definitely wouldn't have taken the channel opening pill. Even if he really wanted to take it, he still should have waited for Dai Yunyang to take it before he did. Dai Yunyang trembled. He originally didn't dare to believe it was true, but after hearing that Feng Yutong also dropped by 2 levels, he could no longer lie to himself. The medicinal pill, Dai Yunyang pondered. His eyes suddenly sharpened as he shouted, "It must be due to that pill from yesterday." You aren't speaking nonsense, right? Feng Yutong slapped Dai Yunyang's head. He didn't need to think to know that it was due to the channel opening pill they took yesterday. Dai Yunyang's face turned somewhat ugly after being hit by Feng Yutong, but he couldn't do anything else. He knew that he had definitely been tricked by Bailey Honghao. Yesterday, that channel opening pill not only wasn't a real channel opening pill, but also wasn't a normal laxative either. Its true purpose was to weaken strength. Never in 1,000 years did he expect that it'd actually be like this. This time he had lost. A mad killing intent engulfed Dai Yunyang's heart. He had cultivated so much and with great difficulty had finally managed to break through. But now all because of Bailey Hongzhuang's pill, all that effort had been for naught. Originally his strength amongst the third-year students could be considered to be one of the best, but with his current strength, his previous reputation would be completely obliterated. Not only this, but because his strength had dropped so much, he'd become the laughingstock of Azure Water School. From such a respected cultivator to this sort of status, he was simply unable to accept it. This was all because of Bailey Hongzhuang. Under his sleeves, his hands clenched into fists. His fingernails pierced into his flesh, dripping with blood. His dark eyes were filled with killing intent and bitterness. After this, Dai Yunyang was already absolutely irreconcilable with Bailey Hongzhuang. No matter what, he must kill Bailey Hongzhuang. Feng Yutong looked at Dai Yunyang, eyes filled with anger and contempt. Originally, he had seen Dai Yunyang as somewhat valuable, but after his strength dropped, he was worth nothing. Sensing Feng Yutong's dangerous gaze, Dai Yunyang's heart jumped as his scalp turned numb. He already couldn't accept his strength dropping, but the hardest thing to face was Feng Yutong. Right now, Feng Yutong probably wanted to kill him. He was very clear that Feng Yutong only saw him as valuable, so now that he had lost his worth, he was nothing. Thinking up to here, Dai Yunyang immediately spoke before Feng Yutong could say anything. "Sir Feng, I absolutely won't let Bailey Honghao off." Feng Yutong just stared at Dai Yunyang coldly. His originally amiable attitude vanished completely. "What do I have to do with you not letting Bailey Honghao off?" Hearing that, cold sweat couldn't help but come out of Dai Yunyang's forehead. He could sense the chilliness coming from Feng Yutong's body. Our strength was weakened because of Bailey Hongzhuang. Since Bailey Hongzhuang made us lose our strength, then she might also have a way to get our strength back. That was also what Dai Yunyang was anticipating the most. He believed that Bailey Hongzhuang definitely should have had a way. Or maybe the reduction in strength was only some trick or suppression and could be restored. Feng Yutong glanced at Dai Yunyang deeply. "I'll give you one more chance. If you fail again, you should understand the consequences." Dai Yunyang's heart trembled, repeatedly nodding his head. "Sir Feng, don't worry. I'll finish this successfully no matter what." "Then what are you still doing here?" Feng Yutong said icily. Dai Yunyang was startled and immediately got up to leave. Staying here stupidly would only provoke Feng Yutong's anger. But just as Dai Yunyang was about to walk through the door, Feng Yutong suddenly shouted at him. Halt! Dai Yunyang turned, confused. Sir Feng, what else? Return the money. I paid you yesterday. Feng Yutong currently didn't have any good feelings towards Dai Yunyang, his words becoming more and more impolite. He had paid so much for the channel opening pill, but not only did his strength not increase at all, it had even dropped. This situation, and Dai Yunyang still wanted to take the payment? What a joke. Dai Yunyang smiled awkwardly, silently taking out the payment from yesterday and setting it down. This time he had truly having given away a bride and losing his army on top of it one. He had originally planned to make a fortune while improving his meridians and destroy Bailey Hongzhuang's reputation at the same time. Before was a wonderful opportunity to hit 3 birds with 1 stone, but now ended up like this. After Gu Songyun came to, he found that his strength had also dropped and almost fainted from fright. He was respected for more than half his life, but hadn't expected for Bailey Hongzhuang, that girl, to give him so much grief. Although pill masters placed the majority of their efforts on concocting, strength was equally important. If their strength and spirit force was strong, then their pill refinement strength will also be strong. Now that his strength suddenly fell, his perception would also worsen and pill refining would become a lot more difficult compared to before. Really didn't expect that girl to be so fierce. Gu Songyun was filled with anger. Bailey Hongzhuang dared to do this to him, so he definitely won't let her have an easy time. Ling Jiesin and the others saw Dai Yunyang leave last evening but not come back, and couldn't help but be a little anxious. They had planned to start the plan today, but Dai Yunyang still hadn't come back, so naturally they couldn't move first. Yunyang still haven't come back? Ling Jiesin's face was filled with worry. She was itching to teach Bailey Hongzhuang a lesson. Yesterday, Brother Yang had definitely taken the channel opening pill, so maybe he went into secluded cultivation and will return soon. Lu Jingquan thought aloud. Otherwise, we'll begin first? Ling Jiesin thought for a bit. Let's wait a bit more. While the two were talking, Dai Yunyang's figure appeared in front of them. Yunyang, you returned. Ling Jiesin happily got up to welcome him. How was the effects of the channel opening pill? Hearing Ling Jiesin's words, Dai Yunyang really wanted to hit something. Just seeing Lu Jingquan and Peng Yunxiang standing on the side was enough for him to know not to reveal the truth. The only reason Lu Jingquan and Peng Yunxiang followed him was all because of this strength. If news about his weakening got passed around, the situation will definitely be different. So Dai Yunyang didn't reply and directly changed the subject. EU now spread news about the channel opening pill being fake. After, we'll go find Bailey Hongzhuang and give her some trouble. He needed to get this done as soon as possible while getting the antidote from Bailey Hongzhuang's hands. Otherwise, he'll get into endless trouble. Hearing that the plan would begin, the 3 were filled with excitement. They weren't that curious about the channel opening pill's effects. While Bailey Hongzhuang was cultivating, a knock suddenly sounded on the door. It opened to show a furious Xia Jiqing. Hongzhuang, your guess really was correct. Ling Jiesin and the others really are spreading rumors that your pill was useless. Completely lying. Xia Jiqing was just angered to death. She didn't hear any news for the whole morning, so she thought that it was just Hongzhuang overthinking. She finally started to relax for a bit, but who knew that the news would come in now? Plus those 3 people who were making the rumor worse than it already was. The rumor was spread throughout the whole school in a short period of time. Ever since the day that the auction was announced to the day that Ling Jiesin and a few others bought the channel opening pill, everyone wanted to know what effects did the pill have. Since the market stall's owner left right after he received the channeling opening pill, no one knew what effects the pill had. Because of this, everyone was very interested in the effects of this channel opening pill. when they heard malicious words, slandering the channel opening pill from Ling Jiaxin and a few others. Many of the students believed in their words. With a blink of an eye, this news has already been spread throughout the whole school. Seeing how worried and angry Xia Jiqing was, Bailey Hongzhuang couldn't help but finding it funny. She has already told Jiqing about the things that might happen today, but Jiqing was still angry to this point. If she didn't tell Jiqing what would happen today, she wonders what emotions Jiqing would be going through then. When Little Black and Little White heard this, their eyes suddenly lit up. They were not worried about this matter happening. They just wanted to feel the excitement of chaos. They have been waiting for a whole morning now, and this good show was finally about to happen. The Baisher who was laying on the bed was also suddenly filled with spirit. Then he curiously looked towards Xia Jiqing. He actually also loves to watch exciting things happen. Jiqing, don't be angry. Didn't we already predict this? Said Bailey Hongzhuang calmly with a soft smile. Clearly, this news didn't surprise her at all. Seeing how calm and tranquil Bailey Hongzhuang was, Xia Jiqing couldn't help but let out a sigh. If this situation occurred to her, she would definitely run out there and look for the person who slandered her. How would she be able to be calm and tranquil like Bailey Hongzhuang? I really do admire your calm temperament. If this situation occurred to me, I would definitely not be able to endure it. After hearing what was said, Bailey Hongzhuang let out a laugh. I never said that I would endure this and do nothing. She has always followed her moral. If others didn't offend her, then she would offend others. If others offend her, then she will repay the favor hundreds of times more. Ling Jiaxin and the others have already angered her by looking for her troubles time after another. Yesterday, she let Dai Yunyang lost a bit of his strength. Today, she let others see who would be the one to get their reputation ruined. After seeing the glint of coldness in Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes, Xia Jiqing's expressions changed. She suddenly had a smile on her face. As it turns out, Hongzhuang has already made plans to teach the people who slandered her a lesson. Would you like for me to go contact Jiang Panza? Asked Xia Jiqing. She believes that if there are two groups of people saying the same thing, then others will believe them. Bailey Hongzhuang softly waved her hands and said, "No need. Let them make this matter more publicly known. Then after that happens, we will go together." Although she felt really anxious after knowing that Bailey Hongzhuang had a plan, Xia Jiqing restrained the anxiousness in her heart. Dong Fangyu and Gong Shaoqing were discussing about problems that everyone would encounter during cultivation. In these times, if they interact more with people who are cultivating, they would be able to cultivate easier. Just at this moment, Lu Qingyue came in with her face full of shock and worry as she said, "Brother Gong, Dongfang, something happened." Hearing what Lu Qingyue said, Gong Shaoqing and Dongfang Yu couldn't help but wrinkle their brows as traces of concern appeared in their eyes. What happened? Just now, when I was returning from the Pill Masters Guild, I heard Ling Jiaxin and her group publicly declaring Hongzhuang's pills had no effects and that she cheated them of their money. The second Lu Qinyue's words were spoken, Gong Shaoqing and Dongfang Yu's expressions both turned unsightly. They're simply just making groundless remarks and distorting facts. Dongfang Yu rose, his attractive face full of anger. They had all consumed Bailey Hongzhuang's pills already, and the effects were marvelous. Not only did their channels widen, but they also increased in firmness and toughness. The more energy one's meridians can accommodate, the faster one's energy can circulate during battle. Thus, the benefits of a channel opening pill was quite obvious. They were deceived, but are still trying to show off their cleverness. Gong Shaoqing's voice was icy cold, and his eyes were as dark as black holes. Those troublesome people. This matter cannot be discredited as they please. It is extremely disadvantageous to Bailey Hongzhuang's reputation. So let's go look. Anxiety could be seen on Dongfang Yu's face. The longer they drag this out, the more groundless rumors will spread, and the power of such rumors was self-evident. How many people had fallen to rumors? This kind of information would spread rapidly from mouth to mouth until in the blink of an eye, the whole academy would know. Bailey Hongzhuang decided it was about time and left her dorm room. As soon as she stepped out, she saw Dong Fangyu, Gong Shaoqing, and Lu Qingyue swiftly coming down from upstairs. Before she could speak, Dong Fangyu spoke in a voice filled with concern and tension. Bailey Hongzhuang, have you heard about Ling Jiaxin and her rumors? Bailey Hongzhuang's beautiful face carried a polite smile. I've already heard. Those despicable people, they're actually blackening your name like that. How loathsome. When mentioning Ling Jiaxin and her group, Dong Fangyu's face was filled with disgust. Ling Jiaxin and Bailey Hongzhuang didn't have any enmity with each other. He couldn't understand why Ling Jiaxin was so aggressively going against her. Don't worry, we will definitely stand on your side. Seeing Dong Fangyu's concern, the look in Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes changed a bit. At that moment, Bai Junyu appeared and was also struck speechless by their conversation. He hadn't expected Ling Jinxia to be so shameless. Bailey Hongzhuang really was not wrong. Let's go and see it first, Gong Shaoqing's deep voice said. Looks like we'll have to challenge them face on. One after another, the rest nodded. They need to go and feel out the situation themselves. Right as they were about to leave, the door next to Bailey Hongzhuang's room opened. Di Beichen's lips held a mesmerizing and mischievous smile, his posture lazy and leisurely. Looks like trouble has arrived. At his words, everyone's expressions changed. Something they were all reluctant to do. When coming from Di Beichen's mouth, why did it sound like they were going to watch a good show? However, what he said was something only Bailey Hongzhuang understood. They were the only ones who had a complete grasp on the situation, so naturally, he knew she had a solution. Dong Fangyu's handsome brows wrinkled. The eyes he looked at Di Beichen with brimmed with queries and dissatisfaction. Bailey Hongzhuang is your wife. How can you be so indifferent to her problems? Don't you know how harmful this matter is to Bailey Hongzhuang's reputation? Dong Fangyu was no longer able to restrain himself. Bailey Hongzhuang was a unique kind of woman who was cherished greatly by those close to her. Although Di Beichen was an outstanding person, Bailey Hongzhuang was unaffected by it. He really was pitiful for Bailey Hongzhuang. When Dong Fangyu's voice dropped, everybody present was astonished. Who would have thought that mild-mannered Dong Fangyu would attack somebody? Not only that, but the person he was attacking was Di Beichen. Di Beichen's jet-black pupils peered at Dong Fangyu from the corner of his eyes, and a hint of frostiness emanated from his bewitching face. Di Beichen's words held a hint of danger. Dong Fangyu, coveting Bailey Hongzhuang, had already left him quite displeased. And now, that same Dong Fangyu had the gall to rebuke him? Taking Bailey Hongzhuang into consideration, Di Beichen did not want to destroy the friendship between them. However, this did not mean he would take Dong Fangyu's attack lying down. Dong Fangyu's anger increased at Di Beichen's words. He didn't expect Di Beichen would not only not reflect on his own negligence, but also speak to him like this. Di Beichen's words had also hit Dong Fangyu's weak point. Yeah, who was he to be in a position to say such things? Xia Jiqing watched the scene before her. She didn't expect Dong Fangyu and Di Beichen to be so riled up in a conflict, not giving each other an inch. Her eyes were wide open. Was this a dispute between a lover and husband? Lu Qinyue's expression was complex, and her beautiful eyes revealed astonishment. She had felt, before, that Dong Fangyu was too passionate, and his treatment of other women was different. When they were in the falling cloud mountains, Dong Fangyu had thought that Bailey Hongzhuang had fallen into a state of fury. It was the very first time that she had seen Dong Fangyu looking that angry. After that incident, she felt that Dong Fangyu had treated Bailey Hongzhuang differently. When they returned to the school, Lu Qinyue found that Dong Fangyu acted strangely around Bailey Hongzhuang. Having known Dong Fangyu for some time now, she had a pretty decent understanding of his character. Dong Fangyu was generally polite to everybody. It was exactly this kind of temperament that made it hard to get close to him. This was because there was nobody he treated specially. Ever since Bailey Hongzhuang had appeared in his life, she'd held a special place in Dong Fangyu's heart. Dong Fangyu had received a huge mental blow after finding out that Bailey Hongzhuang was married. Even if Dongfang Yu didn't say anything, a woman's intuition was rather sharp. Today, amidst all of Dongfang Yu's chaos, he was no longer able to hide his feelings for Bailey Hongzhuang. Little Black sighed, it could really be complex. The white lion raised its head slightly to look at the two above him, unable to comprehend the choice made by its master. What was Little Black trying to do by kicking up such a fuss? Seeing the situation escalate like this, Gong Xiaoqing couldn't help but say, Dongfang Yu isn't trying to be malicious, Dibei Chun. He's just worried about Bailey Hongzhuang. Don't take it to heart. Are you saying that I shouldn't care about my wife? Dibei Chen's shapely eyebrows furrowed into a frown, as his ink-black pupils emitted a dangerous, penetrating aura. His concern for Bailey Hongzhuang didn't need to be stated, for they had long since reached a state of mutual understanding. Even if she didn't say anything about this troublesome matter, he'd know what she was thinking. Now that these two fellows had the gall to attack him like. Nowadays, he was no longer the wastrel of a prince who needed to be patient. With his status, who would dare utter even half a sentence of blame? Most importantly, these two fellows were caring for Bailey Hongzhuang too much. In short, Dibei Chun made use of the moment the atmosphere tensed up. Such provocative words made Dibei Chun rise up in anger. Bailey Hongzhuang didn't expect to discover the scene unfolding before her before she could even utter a single word. This was going way beyond her expectations. Dibei Chen's tone was frosty as his left hand wrapped around Bailey Hongzhuang's shoulders, giving off an overbearing and aloof impression. Xia Jiqing and Bai Junyu gave each other a quick glance, both shocked by how overbearing Dibei Chun was. Dongfang Yu's temper rose when he saw Dibei Chun acting like this. He understood the hostility Dibei Chun had as a man. He really wasn't in any position to criticize Dibei Chun, but his actions had truly made Dongfang Yu angry. Bailey Hongzhuang looked towards, eyes slightly open. She had already told Dibei Chun that his conduct wasn't appropriate, but after seeing his eyes, she couldn't utter out a single word. His deep eyes were filled with sincerity and overbearing to the point where you couldn't refuse him. In the depths of the bottom of his eyes held traces of softness and fear. It was like if he denied his words, he would be hurt. Bailey Hongzhuang couldn't help her heart from stirring after seeing those eyes of his. Besides, she was not the wife of Dibei Chun. Facing Dongfang Yu's criticism like this, it was only proper for him to retaliate. When she thought of this, she swallowed the words that she was about to say. She was quite clear about how much Dibei Chun cared about her. If he didn't care about her, he wouldn't have come back at this time to ensure her safety. If he didn't care about her, he wouldn't have been forced to leave Songlan Academy. From start to finish, Dibei Chun had only a single reason who coming to Songlan Academy, and that reason was her. After listening to Bailey Hongzhuang's explanations, everybody's expression shifted. They all thought that Dibei Chun would not understand the happenings of today. However, they never expected that Dibei Chun to have already predicted these events. In this case, wasn't it them who had wrongly accused Dibei Chun? Xia Jiqing's mouth was agape, her eyes full of understanding. As a matter of fact, she had also thought that Dibei Chun didn't give Bailey Hongzhuang enough love. As a husband, he needed to give Bailey Hongzhuang all the love he had. Unexpectedly, not only was Dibei Chun a caring husband, but he was also incredibly insightful. Her worries were unfounded. Dongfang Yu was stunned for a moment. His expression turned ugly. When he recalled that Dibei Chun said that he had an agreement with Bailey Hongzhuang, he was even more confident that Dibei Chun was declaring his own sovereignty. Gong Xiaoqing was also caught silent, his expression grim. Lu Qinyue's eyes flashed a glimmer of light. She didn't expect for a conflict to break out from this. No matter if it was Dibei Chun, Xia Jiqing, Bai Junyu, Dongfang Yu, or Gong Xiaoqing, everybody cared specially for Bailey Hongzhuang. Disregarding Dibei Chun and Dongfang Yu, Even Big Brother Gong had feelings for Bailey Hongzhuang from the perspective of others. Gong Xiaoqing didn't display enough concern. But with his cold temperament, just a mere sentence from him proved that the matter had a unique place in his heart. At this moment, Lu Qinyue couldn't help feeling pangs of jealousy. Before this, she was the goddess of the academy, regardless of who appeared. She also had some attainments in alchemy as well. She used to be the moon among the stars, high up in the clouds. Ever since Bailey Hongzhuang came around, she performed better than Lin Qinyue. In some cases, she even completely outshined her. Even if she originally didn't care about it as much, she and Bailey Hongzhuang were as different as black and white. She seemed to emit a brilliant radiance, attracting all the fireflies in the area. The instant Bailey Hongzhuang's words came out, a bright light flickered within Dibei Chen's eyes. The jet-black, storm-cold eyes briefly shone a trace of joy. It was akin to sunlight breaking through the clouds, dazzling one's eyes. Dibei Chen embraced Bailey Hongzhuang's side even tighter as he felt incomparably happy in his heart. Bailey Hongzhuang confirmed their relationship in front of everybody. The most important part was how Bailey Hongzhuang made clear to Dongfang Yu that she preferred Dibei Chen. After knowing this, how could Dibei Chen not be happy? Looking at Dibei Chen's expression shifting from dark to light, Bailey Hongzhuang felt helpless, but at the same time found it funny. She had always felt that this guy was a cunning fox. She didn't expect him to have such a childish side to him. Gong Xiaoqing gave a slight nod and turned towards Dongfang Yu and Lu Qinyue's living quarters. Bailey Hongzhuang's foreman group also left to their quarters. They're going to handle this today. Early in the square, Ling Jiaxin and Lu Lingquan and some others stood at the square, recounting the tragic and heartbreaking tale. Their words were all accusing Bailey Hongzhuang, without even giving her the slightest bit of leeway. They were making Bailey Hongzhuang out to be a villainous scum. When Bailey Hongzhuang and the others came to the square, they heard the words of Ling Jiaxin. Xia Jiqing couldn't stop herself from letting a sneer. This Ling Jiaxin was still as shameless as ever. The way Ling Jiaxin was inverting black and white like this was unexpectedly not in the least out of character for him. Bailey Hongzhuang also let out a light chuckle. Ling Jiaxin pretending like this was truly pitiful. I didn't expect that the channel opening pill was actually a fake. Could it be that from the start, all the promotion and hype from Bailey Hongzhuang about the channel opening pill was a joke? Luckily, it wasn't us who bought the channel opening pill yesterday. Otherwise, we'd be in big trouble. Ling Jiaxin's words alone can't be trusted. After all, we didn't see it personally. I don't think Bailey Hongzhuang would do such a thing. When Ling Jiaxin saw that one of them didn't believe her, she couldn't help take an oath. The words I said are true. You guys say that we can't be trusted because of our conflict with Bailey Hongzhuang. But we believe that soon Wei Mei Dai will also come to seek justice. At that time, you guys would believe it, right? Everybody looked at each other when they heard this. If Wei Mei Dai would also attest to it, then what they said was likely true. Seeing everyone's changing expression, Ling Jiaxin and Lu Jingquan glanced at each other, their eyes showing a proud smile. It seems that their goal has finally been achieved. Pang Yinxiang saw Ling Jiaxin's eye signal and immediately left. Wei Mei Dai had already prepared to cooperate with Ling Jiaxin and the others' plan, but Ling Jiaxin said that it'd be more effective if she was to appear later. So she had been waiting not too far away, awaiting for Ling Jiaxin and the others' signal to appear. When Pang Yunxiang appeared and informed her to go, a look of anger immediately appeared on Wei Mei Dai's face as she stormed into the school. After hearing Ling Jiaxin and the others' accusation, she pretended to have the same feeling as she shouted, "Your words are right. The channel opening pill Bailey Hongzhuang sold me didn't have any effect." Ling Jiaxin's face changed to one of elation. "Wei Mei Dai, it's good that you came. The channel opening pill was also useless for you, right?" Wei Mei Dai nodded, her face indignant. "Right. I paid so much to get the channel opening pill, but I never thought that it won't have the slightest effect." Bailey Hongzhuang is really going too far. Everybody was in an uproar. Wei Meidai was a pill master, ah? If even Wei Meidai said so, the channel opening pill probably was fake. I didn't expect Bailey Hongzhuang to actually be a swindler. This trick was really too fierce. I say that this Bailey Hongzhuang isn't even a pill master, so there's no way that her pill is real. How can the school have such a troublemaker? It's no wonder that she chose to auction out the pill to us. If it was outside, she'd be done for. While everybody was discussing, Bailey Hongzhuang slowly appeared to face everyone. Seeing the topic of conversation come out, everyone's eyes lit up. It seemed like there would be a good show today. Ling Jiasin saw Bailey Hongzhuang, and a trace of pride appeared in her eyes. A fake expression of grievance appeared on her charming face. Bailey Hongzhuang, you're really too much. Even though there's some conflict between us, you didn't need to sell a fake channel opening pill to me, right? Bailey Hongzhuang's lips curved into a mocking smile. She crossed her arms, staring at Ling Jiasin with a smile, yet not a smile. Act. You continue to act. Seeing Bailey Hongzhuang sneer at her, Ling Jiasin's face turned unsightly. Why is it that even now, Bailey Hongzhuang still seemed so calm and indifferent, as if victory was in her grasp? Obviously right now, Bailey Hongzhuang should be at an overwhelming disadvantage. One mistake, and her reputation would be completely destroyed. Yet, how could she still be so carefree and mock her? This was Dai Yunyang's first time seeing Bailey Hongzhuang. When he saw Bailey Hongzhuang's stunning beauty, a trace of shock and want appeared in his eyes. Before this, he had known that Bailey Hongzhuang was so beautiful and even thought that the number one beauty, Lu Qinyue, wasn't at all inferior. On the contrary, her confident gaze could be described as peerlessly beautiful, even faintly more than Lu Qinyue. Lu Jingquan fell into somewhat of a daze as he stared at Bailey Hongzhuang's perfectly composed appearance. Once he came to, his face also turned very unsightly. Bailey Hongzhuang, speak clearly. What acting? Ling Jiasin shouted loudly. Bailey Hongzhuang continued to stare at her with a strange smile, her eyes filled with contempt and disgust. What acting? Shouldn't you know? Bailey Hongzhuang asked. Ling Jiasin's face changed somewhat. I don't know what you're saying. Anyways, the channel opening pill you gave had no effect. Return my bid and take your punishment. Ling Jiasin, you're framing people randomly. Why did you say Hongzhuang's pill is fake? Xia Jiqing suddenly got angry. After seeing Ling Jiasin's unbridled appearance, she could no longer restrain herself and directly confronted her. She wasn't afraid to see who was stronger. Xia Jiqing, I'm talking about Bailey Hongzhuang. Why are you interrupting for no reason? Ling Jiasin frowned. She knew Xia Jiqing had a sharp mouth, so it'd be hard to win if they got into a fight. I just can't bear to see you distorting the truth like this. What's wrong with that? Xia Jiqing's words didn't give Ling Jiasin the slightest bit of face. Aren't you just relying on your relationship with Dai Yunyang to act so arrogantly in the school? What are you alone? Xia Jiqing. Ling Jiasin's face turned ashen. Don't go too far. There was a big crowd of students gathered around them. Although many knew about hers and Dai Yunyang's relationship, Xia Jiqing's words were like a cover-up completely peeled away. Dong Fangyu and Gong Shaoqing glanced at each other. This Xia girl's mouth was really fierce. Bai Junyu's eyes shined brightly. It was the first time he had seen Xia Jiqing be so wild. I went too far. Xia Jiqing smiled coldly. Did I go further than you? Hongzhuang sold the channel opening pill, and as revenge, you go and destroy her reputation. Truly a poisonous woman. Ling Jiasin couldn't restrain her anger as her chest heaved. But she didn't know how to reply to Xia Jiqing and could only turn a look at Peng Yunxiang and Lu Jingquan beside her. Lu Jingquan and Peng Yunxiang were also very helpless. Wasn't having the two of them argue with Xia Jiqing just a straight road to losing? Bailey Hongzhuang, we're asking you about your channel opening pill. If you have the ability, don't make Xia Jiqing interfere. After thinking for a long time, Ling Jiasin could only say that. If Xia Jiqing continued to talk, she'd be infuriated to death. Bailey Honghaong's lips curved into a graceful smile, but the words that came from her lips were ruthless. What are you? I want to hear your answer. She believed that for some people, there was no need to give any face. Before she had still given her some face, but now she had no plans to continue doing so. Everybody was commotion when they heard Bailey Honghaong's words. Nobody expected her to be so domineering. Ling Jiasin was frightened by Bailey Hongzhuang's demeanor. Normally, even if Bailey Hongzhuang got into arguments, she had never seen her act like this. Why was everything completely overstepping her expectations? According to reason, shouldn't Bailey Honghaong be very scared and nervous, cowering in fear? Lu Jingkuan and Peng Yunxiang were also somewhat baffled. They also had their hands tied with Bailey Hongzhuang's strange attitude. Bailey Hongzhuang, the channel opening pill you sold us was fake. Could it be that you don't even plan to compensate us for that? Lu Jingkuan said icily. Bailey Hongzhuang's lips curved into a sneer as she raised a brow. Why do you say my channel opening pills are fake? Bailey Honghaong raised her voice, making sure everyone watching could hear her words. As everyone knows, there's some hate between you and us. So how is it trustworthy if you say that my channel opening pills are fake? You don't have any evidence that my channel opening pill is fake. You guys call my pill a fake? Well, then I say that mine are real channel opening pills. Bailey Hongzhuang's words were clear, leaving Ling Jiasin and the others no room to retort. Then what about Wei Meidai? Ling Jiasin shot back. She also said that your channel opening pills were useless. Huh? Bailey Honghaong laughed. You guys are all simply jackals of the same tribe. Wei Meidai and I also have some resentments. So since you guys made a plan, she naturally wanted to join in and smear my reputation. Following Bailey Honghaong's words, all the students' faces suddenly turned startled. They knew there was animosity between Bailey Hongzhuang and Ling Jiasin, but never knew there was some between her and Wei Meidai as well. So that means that Ling Jiasin and the others had probably planned. Ling Jiasin and the others were all targeting Bailey Hongzhuang, designing a trap. How about it? Didn't I say that there's no way my goddess would do such a thing? This was definitely Ling Jiasin and the others framing Bailey Hongzhuang. A man got up and laughed brightly. Before he couldn't retort under everyone's accusations, but now he could finally raise his eyebrows and blow of steam. Right, Bailey Hongzhuang simply has no need to do that. Even though cultivating resources were quite rare, special enrollment students shouldn't lack it to this extent, right? Ling Jiasin and the others were always bad from the start, wanting the channel opening pill, but not wanting to pay for the bid. Therefore, they made such a despicable plan. After Bailey Hongzhuang's appearance, the originally one-sided rumors immediately changed. There was originally many people believing in Bailey Honghaong, so after seeing her confidence, their opponents also got stronger. Xia Jiqing listened to everyone talk, and a trace of admiration couldn't help but appear in her eyes. Although it hadn't been very long since Bailey Honghaong came to Azure Water School, her popularity wasn't small at all. Just now, she had only used a few words to stabilize an extremely thorny problem, and everyone instead started to doubt Ling Jiasin. Her abilities were really too great, Only Little Black, Little White, and Baishur felt themselves flush with shame. In fact, what Ling Jiasin and the rest said were actually correct. The channel opening pill Master had sold really was fake, yet Master speaks of justice and righteousness, saying such lies without a single change in face or skipping of the heart. Master really was amazing. Of course, none of them dared to actually speak it aloud. Otherwise, there's no way that they would get the yummy foods they wanted. Wei Meidai walked forward, her face cold. You gave us a fake channel opening pill, so how are we slandering you? Bailey Honghaong, I am in no lack of money. I have simply no need to use such a method to frame you. Bailey Honghaong looked at Wei Meidai coldly. Since she had met Wei Mei-dai, she had known that she wouldn't be easy to deal with. You bidded for the channel opening pill yourselves? Bailey Hongzhuang glanced at the people watching them and raised her voice. From the beginning when I conducted the auction, I had never wanted to sell you guys the channel opening pill. But you guys are the ones who specifically used fake names to bid for the pill. If you guys didn't collude before the auction and move together, ask the other students in the school if they would believe you then. At this moment, Dai Yunyang felt stupid. From the start, the pill Bailey Hongzhuang auctioned really was a fake. Unfortunately, after Bailey Hongzhuang's words, it made it seem as if they were framing her. If it wasn't for himself personally knowing the truth, he definitely would have believed Bailey Hongzhuang. Just as expected, many more students began to stand on Bailey Hongzhuang's side. Because Ling Jiaxin and the others' actions that day were a bit eye-catching, they recalled the scene. They must have been plotting for this day. Wei Mei-dai now was also feeling a bit worried. She hadn't expected Bailey Hongzhuang to be so difficult. The rumors they took so long to plant were easily destroyed by a few light words from Bailey Hongzhuang's lips. Bailey Hongzhuang, who wouldn't want the channel opening pill, which is so helpful for cultivators? Wei Mei-dai spoke unhappily. Because there's some animosity between us, I was worried you wouldn't sell the channel opening pill to us and then decided to use a fake name. I think Ling Jiaxin and Lu Jinkoan did so for the same reason, but what we said was a fact. Your pill was fake. Seeing how Wei Mei-dai managed to fit one thing in another, Ling Jiaxin and the others breathed a sigh of relief. She had no idea how to answer that earlier. Since you said so much, let me ask you a few questions. Bailey Hongzhuang's attitude was calm. Just this, and Wei Mei-dai wanted to fight with her? What a joke. She'll let Wei Mei-dai taste the flavor of defeat. They wanted to destroy her reputation, so she'll destroy theirs instead. Seeing Bailey Hongzhuang's indifferent appearance, a bad premonition couldn't help but arise in Wei Mei-dai's heart. This Bailey Hongzhuang was never a person whose move could be expected. You're a pill master, right? Bailey Hongzhuang asked mildly. Right. You said my channel opening pill was fake, so naturally you must have already taken it. Since you're a pill master, you should be very sensitive to the pill's ingredients. So let me ask you, what are the ingredients of my channel opening pill? Bailey Hongzhuang crossed her arms and stared at Wei Mei-dai, her indifference making it seem as if she already held victory in the palm of her hand. After the originally worrying Dongfang Yu and others saw Bailey Hongzhuang's calm face, they felt their previous worry to be superfluous. Bailey Hongzhuang's acolytes were more than enough to solve this problem. Ling Jiaxin and the rest simply weren't Bailey Hongzhuang's opponent. Ling Jiaxin and the others looked expectantly at Wei Mei-dai. They believed that Wei Mei-dai would definitely be able to answer the question. But Wei Mei-dai actually didn't speak. In fact, she never even took the pill. Wei Mei-dai didn't dare to talk nonsense, afraid that she'd make a mistake and Bailey Hongzhuang would catch it. With Wei Mei-dai's silence, some of the sharper people already realized the truth. If Wei Mei-dai was really correct, then how come she couldn't say a thing now? Ling Jiaxin and the others were also struck dumb. What was this? Why wasn't Wei Mei-dai saying anything? After Jiang Pengze and the rest heard the news and rushed over, his eyes filled with shock as they watched the scene. They'd come as soon as they heard the news, worried Bailey Hongzhuang wouldn't have their support. Now it seems that even if they hadn't come to testify, everybody would still believe Bailey Hongzhuang. Her skills truly made others gasp in surprise. Di Beichen's eyes also glowed brightly with admiration. His wife truly couldn't be underestimated. Everything seemed to be initiated by Ling Jiaxin, when in fact, Bailey Hongzhuang had controlled everything from the start. Whether it was her plan, her reactions, or her retorts, everything was controlled by Bailey Hongzhuang. Just going by this, Bailey Hongzhuang was extraordinary. Just as Wei Mei-dai was at a loss for what to say, a hoarse and gloomy voice filled with restrained anger suddenly interrupted their exchange. Heavenly stargrass, rootless wood, willow, channel flower. Those were actually the channel opening pill's ingredients. Everybody turned to face the source of the voice. Gu Songyun's face was dark as he made his way to the morning assembly plaza. Even though he had concealed it very well, his face was still a bit pale. Seeing Gu Songyun's appearance, Wei Meidai's face filled with happiness. Although she didn't know why Master had suddenly coming now was the same as saving her. God, it's actually Master Songyun. He actually came to Azure Water School personally. I don't know why he came here, but he seems a bit ill. Could it be that Master Songyun came to help Wei Meidai get Bailey Hongzhuang? Facing such an unexpected event, everybody had different opinions. Just as everything seemed about finished, a new variable had suddenly shown up. Bailey Hongzhuang wasn't unfamiliar at all with the ingredients Gu Songyun had mentioned. They were precisely the base ingredients for the laxative, although there were still a few other ingredients that Gu Songyun hadn't said. That means that Gu Songyun still hadn't researched it successfully. After all, the pill she had refined naturally couldn't be easily imitated. But after seeing Gu Songyun's face, a trace of doubt also appeared in Bailey Hongzhuang's beautiful eyes. She had already guessed that Gu Songyun found that it wasn't the channel-opening pill, but a laxative, which is why the old codger was so angry. But Gu Songyun's pale appearance and slight limp as he moved clearly showed the effects of a laxative. Could it be that Gu Songyun also took the laxative? It should be EU. Just as Bailey Hongzhuang was puzzled, Little Black's excited voice suddenly sounded. Master, you are correct. This Gu Songyun's strength actually dropped by 2 whole levels. It seems like this guy's really angry. Little Black smiled rottenly. His strength originally wasn't high, so losing 2 grades at his age is enough to let him feel bad for a long time. Hearing that, Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes were filled with a ridiculing smile. Although she wasn't sure why this guy took the laxative, but since he ate it, she was naturally happy. Xia Jiqing and the rest stared at Bailey Hongzhuang doubtfully. They didn't know when she had suddenly gotten in a conflict with Wei Meidai. Looking now, Gu Songyun seemed a bit ill. Muddy waves filled Gu Songyun's eyes as he stared at Bailey Hongzhuang. If he could, he'd directly choke Bailey Hongzhuang to death. You should be familiar with those ingredients, no? Gu Songyun asked coldly. Bailey Hongzhuang's face was indifferent as she nodded slightly. As a pill master, I'm naturally familiar with such ingredients. Those are the primary ingredients of a laxative. Little Black and Little White glanced at each other. It seems like this guy really had some ability, able to make out Master's pill composition. Those drug ingredients were what I found to have made up your channel-opening pill. You don't say that your channel-opening pill is actually a laxative, right? In front of so many students, Gu Songyun had no choice but to keep the grace and elegance of a great master. However, his words still couldn't help but hold a hint of anger. Bailey Hongzhuang smiled. Losing 2 whole levels of strength at Gu Songyun's age meant that it would be very difficult to achieve it again. No wonder he was so furious toward her. After Gu Songyun's words, everyone's faces changed. Gu Songyun was well known in Azure Water City as a second-rank pill master, and with his status, there was simply no need for him to slander Bailey Hongzhuang. Yet he had come. So then wouldn't that be proof that Bailey Hongzhuang's channel-opening pill really was a fake? Xia Jiqing and the rest's faces suddenly turned unsightly. Before they had thought victory was already in their grasp and didn't expect Gu Songyun would come, completely turning the situation around. Bailey Hongzhuang stared at Gu Songyun indifferently. I don't understand Master Gu's words about my channel-opening pill having the same composition was a laxatives. But accusing a junior wrongly at your age, isn't it? Too despicable? Despicable. Everybody was startled when they heard that word slide out of Bailey Hongzhuang's lips. Everyone stared at Bailey Hongzhuang in shock. Wasn't that a little too brazen? What was Master Gu's status? Bailey Hongzhuang had actually just calmly called somebody of that status despicable. Xia Jiqing couldn't help but laugh, giving Bailey Hongzhuang a big thumbs up. Powerful. Really too powerful. Bailey Hongzhuang's words made Gu Songyun even more angry. Did you just call me despicable? throughout the greater part of Gu Songyun's lifetime. He had never been called such. Bailey Hong shrugged her shoulders, ignoring Gu Songyun's anger. My channel opening pill was sold to Wei Mei Dai yesterday, so how did it get into Master Gu's hands? Hearing this, Gu Songyun's face changed slightly. I just wanted to see if anything was wrong with the pill. So then, the result of your examination from my channel opening pill was that it was a laxative? Bailey Hongzwang's attitude was languid, her voice mild as she asked. Correct. If you didn't take my channel opening pill, how would you know it's a laxative? The same pill ingredients combined with different ones can have completely different effects. Master Gu should know this, right? Bailey Hongzwang, don't try to quibble uselessly. I've been immersed in pill refining techniques for years, and that pill is definitely a laxative. Even if it is a laxative, what does it have to do with you? Do you have any proof that the laxative is the same channel opening pill I sold Wei Mei Dai? Bailey Hongzwang's lips curled into a sneer. Since she had done such a thing, she's naturally already made preparations for it. Things like pills, after they've been auctioned, the other side simply can't depend on their own bodies to prove it. Gu Songyun, Wei Mei Dai, and Ling Jiasen's hearts were filled with anger as they watched Bailey Hongzwang's "you're trapped" attitude. Unfortunately, Bailey Hongzwang's words really did leave them with no alternative. With my status, why would I need to slander you? Gu Songyun's voice sunk. Just his prestige and status alone was enough to prove his words were fact. Hearing this, the scene fell into silence. Gu Songyun was right. His status alone was enough to prove a lot. The situation isn't good. Gong Xiaoqing frowned. Dong Fangyu nodded slightly. Neither of them thought that Gu Songyun would appear today. Although Bailey Hongzwang was quite popular, she hadn't stayed at the school for long enough and was very much lacking compared to Gu Songyun's prestige. We can only help give proof, but we don't know who the students will believe. A light flitted past Bei Chen's eyes as he stared at Gu Songyun's group, the corners of his mouth quietly curving into a cold and dangerous arc. Only a rank 2 pill master, yet daring to force his wife step by step like this, really courting death. Just as Bei Chen was preparing to act, a kindly voice suddenly sounded by everyone's ears. Today, the morning assembly plaza is really lively. Everyone turned to see Huan Chuyu slowly walking towards them. Vice principal. Everyone's faces turned respectful. Huan Chuyu had already heard about what was going on at the morning assembly plaza. He hadn't thought there would actually be so much trouble after Bailey Hongzwang's channel opening pill auction. Old Gu, if you don't have any proof, don't treat my students unjustly. Huan Chiyu's words made his attitude clear. As he stood in the school, his identity was Azure Water School's vice principal first and Azure Water City's Pill Master Guild's president after. Hearing the meaning in Huan Chiyu's words, Gu Songyun's face turned a bit unsightly. Old Huan, there's no way I would accuse Bailey Hongzwang for no reason. Gu Songyun's face was firm. In my opinion, this Bailey Hongzwang's channel opening pill is definitely a fake and will only bring disgrace to Azure Water School if she continues to stay here as a student. Gu Songyun's emotional sentence actually wanted to use this chance to kick Bailey Hongzwang out of Azure Water School. If it succeeded, then Bailey Hongzwang selling that fake channel opening pill would become a known fact, and at that time, she'd never be able to make a comeback. An icy chill flitted past Bailey Hongzwang's eyes. Since Gu Songyun was so malicious, her heart also formed a trace of killing intent. Although she had collided against Gu Songyun in the Pill Masters Guild before, it was only an angry argument. She originally only planned to let Gu Songyun suffer just a bit, so he's no longer as arrogant in front of her. But now, unless he vanishes from the face of this earth, she would not be able to dismiss the grudge in her heart. Jiang Pengze and the others could really no longer stand it and immediately walked out, their faces unsatisfied. Vice Principal, we can testify Miss Bailey's channel opening pills are real. They're definitely not laxatives, as Master Gu said. Huan Chuyu stared at Jiang Pengze and the others, surprised. What's the matter? As soon as yesterday, when Wei Meidai and the others bought the channel-opening pill, Miss Bailey anticipated something bad would happen. Since Ling Jiasin and Miss Bailey have hate between them, she was worried that they would try to think of every possible way to frame her. So, Miss Bailey sold 3 more channel-opening pills to us, so we could testify for her today. When everyone heard Jiang Pengze's words, the crowd was once again in an uproar. The twists and turns filled everybody with excitement. They originally thought that Bailey Honghoung was at a disadvantage, but didn't expect for her to suddenly have such a move. Vice Principal, many people here can prove that Bailey Hongzhuang is innocent. There's no way that Master Gu's baseless words are right. Dibei Chan said icily, not hiding the coldness in his gaze at all when he looked at Gu Sanyan. Right, we can all prove the effects of Honghoung's channel-opening pill. Dong Fangyu immediately added. Not only Dong Fangyu, but Xia Jiqing, Gong Shaoqing, and Lu Qinyue all nodded as well. Before, Hongzhuang gave us all a channel-opening pill. Our channels and meridians are all much broader than from before we took the pill, so the results can clearly be seen. There's no way it's a laxative like Master Gu said. Xia Jiqing swore truthfully. Although she didn't say it directly, everyone was clear about the meaning hidden in her words. There was no evidence at all behind Gu Sanyun's words, but nobody focused on that. Rather, they were more intent on the fact that Bailey Hongzhuang had given all of them a channel-opening pill. Such a precious pill was actually directly given away? What kind of drive was this? I didn't expect Bailey Hongzhuang to be so generous. Being her friend is really a blessing. Right, look at Xia Jiqing's and the others' faces. It looks like they've long taken the channel-opening pill. Gong Shaoqing and Dong Fangyu both said Bailey Hongzhuang was innocent, so the pill shouldn't be fake. Maybe not. Their relationship is very good, so it wouldn't be very strange for them to protect Bailey Honghoung, right? Everybody was sharing their views and opinions. The portion that believed Gu Sangyun and the portion that believed Bailey Hongzhuang were roughly equal, with neither side able to convince the other. If Vice Principal doesn't believe, then you can examine their channels and meridians. Facts speak louder than words. Dibei Chen's face was calm and indifferent, but his words were firm with no need for doubt. His wife wasn't one that could be slandered as they wished. Gong Shaoqing's eyes flickered. With a few simple words, Dibei Chen had completely taken control of the situation. Control wasn't simple. Hearing this, Huan Chuyu stared at Dibei Chen. Bailey Honghoung and the rest were swept away from his stare, unknown thoughts in his wise and far-sighted eyes. Old Gu Bailey Honghoung, what do you think about this? Bailey Honghog nodded. The results of this examination were certain, so there was no need for her to be worried. The only reason why she spent so much time dealing with Ling Jiasin and the others was so this could grow even bigger. Only this way could she let Ling Jiasin completely lose all her face. At the same time, she also wanted to use this to warn everyone else that trying to purposely find trouble with her was not a simple matter. If they did, they must prepare to pay the price. She inadvertently glanced at Dibei Chen, her lips forming an enchanting smile. This couldn't have been done so easily without him adding fuel from the sidelines. Compared to herself saying so, the effect from those words coming from Dibei Chen's mouth would be a lot greater. Seeing Bailey Honghoung's straightforward agreement, a trace of hesitation appeared in Gu Sangyun's eyes. He couldn't help but doubt for a second that Bailey Honghoung's pill really was real. But under everyone's eyes, if he refused, wouldn't that be the same as admitting he really was slandering Bailey Hongzhuang? While Gu Sangyun was thinking, Wei Meidai suddenly raised her chin arrogantly. We've already examined your pill. Don't tell me that you think we're scared of you. Wei Meidai stared at Bailey Honghoung fiercely. Since her master already said Bailey Hongzhuang's pill was fake, then it was definitely fake. If it wasn't for this, why would her master specifically come personally? She wanted to teach Bailey Hongzhuang a lesson. Right now, Bailey Hongzhuang was surviving on nothing but luck. Once they nod in agreement, the flustered one will be her. Wei Meidai's sudden words nearly made Gu Songyun spit out a mouthful of blood. Don't tell him that Wei Meidai can't see the trap laid out in front of them. Seeing Wei Meidai's proud appearance with her head high and chest out, he wondered, why didn't his disciple have the least bit of brains? The smile in Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes widened. Seeing the complicated expression on Gu Songyun's face, she couldn't help but laugh in her heart. A pig-headed teammate can do you more harm than the most formidable opponent. Right now, Gu Songyun probably wanted to throttle Wei Meidai to death. So today, it seems that Gu Songyun's reputation will be ruined by Wei Meidai. This wasn't something she expected, but she liked it. Behind Gu Songyun, Ling Jiesin and the others shared a glance. They originally only wanted Wei Meidai to help, and didn't expect that everything would be settled by Wei Meidai. With Master Gu personally appearing, it looks like Bailey Hongzhuang loses this time. Lu Jingquan's eyes had a pleased smile. Although he couldn't kill Bailey Hongzhuang, destroying her reputation should be able to make Dai Jimon happy. Yeah, I didn't think Wei Meidai would be so awesome. Thank God they're helping us. Ling Jiesin was also very happy. Their goal was accomplished. Plus, from Bailey Hongzhuang's family, they could request double or triple the compensation. Only Dai Yunyang away from the stage was frowning. Bailey Hongzhuang was way too calm and didn't seem affected at all. That means things are much more complicated. Since you all agree, how about I examine it? Huan Chuyu asked slowly. Although Gu Songyun's heart was very nervous, he could only gamble on the chance. All because Wei Meidai already blocked his escape route. But, just as Huan Chuyu was about to inspect their meridians, Bailey Hongzhuang suddenly spoke. If I was proven innocent and Master Gu and the rest actually did wrong me, then don't tell me they'll be let off easily? Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes narrowed, a trace of ruthlessness streaking through them. She was never somebody bullied by others. Since Gu Songyun and the rest were deliberately making trouble for her, how could she let them off so easily? Otherwise, won't more and more people just try to bother her? If it isn't so, what will you do? Wei Meidai shot back. If my channel opening pill is fake, I'll compensate your losses twofold and leave Azure Water School. Her beautiful, exquisite face shined decisively. Sunlight sprinkled on Bailey Hongzhuang's body, emotional and firm. In short, domineering without a match, no rejection, resolute and decisive. The sentence hung in the air, clearly echoing in everyone's ears. Everybody's eyes were filled with shock. Shocked stares fell on Bailey Hongzhuang's body. It was incredibly hard for anyone to believe that Bailey Hongzhuang said those words. Leave Azure Water School. How big of a punishment was this? So many cultivators were racking their brains for a way to squeeze into Azure Water School, but couldn't, yet Bailey Hongzhuang actually used it as part of a bet. How domineering was this? How self-confident? At the same time, this was testimony to Bailey Hongzhuang's persistence. If it wasn't for Gu Songyun and others to be accusing her wrongly, how could she say such a thing? In short, everybody was dumbstruck. Even Wei Meidai and the rest stared at her in astonishment. They indeed wanted to use this as a chance to get Bailey Hongzhuang expelled from Azure Water School, but it was simply too hard to do so. They never thought that Bailey Hongzhuang would actually choose to leave Azure Water School herself. But now that Bailey Hongzhuang was personally choosing to, they were not only unhappy, but even filled with worry. Who would believe that Bailey Hongzhuang didn't care about Azure Water School at all? Doing this meant was for one reason. She had absolute confidence with the test. Thinking up to there, Wei Meidai's face ashened. If after the test, it proved that Bailey Hongzhuang's channel opening pill was real, then what would happen to them? Wei Meidai couldn't help but stare at Gu Songyun beside her, only to see Gu Songyun's pale face staring at her. If it wasn't for Wei Meidai's hot-headedness and directly responding to Bailey Hongzhuang like that, how could they be in their current situation? Ling Jiaxin and her group glanced at each other, a bad premonition spreading in their hearts. Miss Ling, the situation doesn't seem to be going well at all. Pang Yinxiang lowered his voice. Ling Jiaxin looked into the crowd and found that Dai Yunyang had at some time unknowingly left. Before, Dai Yunyang had already said that as long as they succeeded, he would personally make Bailey Honghound compensate. Now that Dai Yunyang left, their chances of success were minimal. Now hold on. The result isn't certain, so maybe Bailey Hongzhuang is just trying to scare us, so we wouldn't dare to test it. Ling Jiaxin spoke slowly. Right now, it was their only hope. Lu Jingquan nodded slightly. There was a chance, although it wasn't very big. On the other hand, all of you guys must apologize to me and repay the damage to my reputation. Her indifferent and cold gaze landed on Gu Songyun and the rest's bodies. Bailey Hongzhuang's stance was firm and unyielding. Dong Fengyu and the others sighed in admiration as they stared at Bailey Hongzhuang. She was always filled with unexpected things, but sent their blood racing. Although Gu Songyun was right in front of her, she wasn't the slightest but worried. Eud Bei Chen's lips curved into a perfect, bewitching smile. His wife was truly bold. He liked it. A trace of astonishment also flitted by Huan Chuyo's eyes, but after thinking a bit, he also understood the reasoning behind Bailey Hongzhuang's actions. In fact, if Bailey Hongzhuang was really accused wrongly, then this was something she ought to be doing. Damage to your reputation? Gu Songyun asked, raising his voice. Bailey Hongzhuang nodded slightly. Your actions today definitely ruined my reputation, so you must compensate the damage to my name. Master's really too awesome. She already dug one pit for Gu Songyun, and now she's digging another. Little Black's eyes seemed to be filled with gold coins, not hiding his excitement at all. Master just made a huge profit over a single scheme. How many pig trotters is it worth? Ah. Little White's eyes glistened with the vision of countless pig trotters. Following Master and eating meat, really great. Serves Gu Songyun and the rest right to have such bad luck. Daring to offend Master, really bringing trouble to themselves, haha. Little Black and Little White glanced at each other, proud. Baisher's eyes also spun. It seems that now, there'll be no lack of demonic beast crystals for him to eat. The surges of happiness these days made him almost unable to believe his fortune. In my opinion, Bailey Hongzhuang's proposal sounds fair. What does old Gu think? Huan Chuyu asked. Since it was a bit, Bailey Hongzhuang's conditions had to be fair for both sides. Gu Songyun's face flashed with a trace of hesitation. Money wasn't anything important, but he couldn't accept apologizing to Bailey Hongzhuang. Regret stared to spread in Gu Songyun's heart. If he could, he never would have come today. Originally, he had wanted to ruin Bailey Honghound's reputation, but didn't expect that it'd be himself trapped with no room to advance or retreat. Seeing Bailey Honghound's completely confident appearance, he had no choice but to admit that this time, he lost. Even though he would like to refuse 10,000 times, Gu Songyun could only nod, fine. Seeing Gu Songyun's approval, Huan Chuyu didn't delay and immediately began to inspect Gong Shaoqing's internal channels. With this inspection, Huan Chuyu already knew their situation like the back of his hand. Footnote: Ross said Gu Songyun, but I'm assuming it's a typo because it doesn't make any sense /footnote. He knew Gong Shaoqing well and also knew the size of their meridians. And now, he actually found that their meridians and channels had grown much bigger than before. Not only that, but they had even become more tough and durable. For cultivators, such a change was of great assistance. Just this was enough to prove that Bailey Hongzhuang's channel opening pills definitely had an effect. After examining Gong Shaoqing, Huan Chuyu then looked at Jiang Pengze and the others. The facts proved Jiang Pengze's words, just as they've said. Some of the energy from yesterday's channel opening pill still wasn't yet fully absorbed, and had no semblance at all to the laxatives Gu Songyun said they were. Huan Chuyu slowly lifted his head and looked at Gu Songyun, his gaze complicated. Old Gu, according to my examination, their channels really were broadened. After Huan Chuyu's words, everyone was in an uproar. Nobody suspected Huan Q's words. Who would have thought that in the end, it was Master Gu wronging Bailey Hongzhuang? Gu Songyun's figure trembled, his face instantly ashening. He seemed to have suffered a huge blow, his whole body unstable. Wei Meidai's face also turned extremely unsightly. She originally thought this plan was flawless and that they could definitely ruin Bailey Hongzhuang. But she didn't expect that in the end, the ones with the destroyed reputation would be them. I really didn't expect for Wei Meidai and the rest to be so despicable, buying real channel opening pills from Bailey Hongzhuang before slandering her. Right, depending on that one excuse to make Bailey Hongzhuang refund their money. Really too shameless. Even if Master Gu wants to protect his disciple, this is really going too far. 2 likes. Now, Hongzhuang's finally proven innocent, right? Xia Jiqing raised an eyebrow as she looked proudly at Gu Songyun's group. The vice principal finally proved Hongzhuang was innocent. Gu Songyun wanted to puke blood. Even if he accused Bailey Hongzhuang wrongly, that channel opening pill really was fake. The channel opening pills Bailey Hongzhuang gave them are real, but the ones she sold to us were definitely fake. Gu Songyun had just understood the key point of everything. Wei Meidai couldn't have switched out the channel opening pill. So, that was the only possibility left. Hearing Gu Songyun's words, a trace of disdain appeared in everyone's eyes. As matters stand, the truth has already been exposed, yet Gu Songyun still wanted to accuse Bailey Hongzhuang. Really too shameless. Master Gu, it's already like this, but you still want to slander me? Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes were filled with disdain and ridicule. The truth is already set now. Shouldn't you guys understand? Gu Songyun stared rigidly at Bailey Hongzhuang. He had lived so many years, but this was the first time he was tricked by a junior. Not only was his reputation destroyed, but he even had to give her compensation. In the future, where would he put his face? Gu Songyun's heart was filled with endless anger. He simply couldn't believe his circumstances. Bailey Hongzhuang, are you worthy of my apology? Gu Songyun's voice was filled with rage and menace as he stared at Bailey Hongzhuang with mad, killing intent. This wretched, loathsome girl, after he's done with today, he absolutely won't let Bailey Hongzhuang slip off. Bailey Hongzhuang sneered, her eyes filled with ice. How am I not worthy of Master Gu's apology? Even if you kneeled down and kowtowed to me as apology, I would be worthy. Hearing this, Gu Songyun's face instantly ashened, turning as cold as ice. Bailey Hongzhuang, don't go too far. Gu Songyun's face turned red, the hatred in his eyes shocking. Who's going too far? Bailey Hongzhuang's voice was cold and strict. Making Wei Meidai by my channel opening pill. You should be the most clear about your plan. As a senior, targeting me, pushing me aside, slandering me. Don't tell me you still want me to respect you. Take a look at your own morality and conduct. Do you deserve my respect? Gu Songyun was extremely angry. His right hand pointed at Bailey Hongzhuang, but not a single word could come out of his mouth. His face seemed as if he could faint from anger at any moment. If you can't afford the bet, then don't bet. Or else, you'll just be provoking everyone's ridicule. Bailey Hongzhuang stared at Gu Songyun coldly. She had seen many shameless people, but ones like Gu Songyun who wanted truly made her feel sick. Since they've already shed all pretenses of cordiality, she naturally wasn't the least bit courteous with her words. Everyone stared at the scene, stunned. Bailey Hongzhuang was really too domineering. That was Master Gu, yet Bailey Hongzhuang was scolding him like a grandson. But thinking carefully, everyone thought that Bailey Hongzhuang's scolding wasn't unreasonable. In fact, Gu Songyun's actions made everyone feel sick. Wei Meidai was also currently terrified. Where did Bailey Hongzhuang's courage come from? An unexplainable sense of regret spread in her heart. If she could, she really wanted to find a hole to hide in. From here on, she'll really have no face in Azure Water School to meet anybody. Clap, clap. Just as everyone fell silent, Dibei Chun suddenly started to clap. Well said. Dibei Chin's deep, black eyes twinkled with enjoyment. The corners of his lips curled in a devilishly charming smile. Hearing his wife's marvelous words, naturally he wanted to clap. Everyone stared at Dibei Chun, astonished. This Dibei Chun really deserved to be Bailey Hongzhuang's wife. Their guts were really out of the ordinary, ah? After Dibei Chun started clapping, Xia Jiqing and Bai Junyuan after another also started to clap. It was really too satisfying. Dong Fangyu and Gong Shaoqing also stood up to clap. Lu Qingyue hesitantly glanced at Huan Chuyu and Gu Songyun. She often stayed in the Pill Master's Guide and was quite familiar with Gu Songyun, so if she applauded now, it'd really be too inappropriate. Below the stage, nobody knew who clapped first, but the crowd was filled with thunderous applause. Bailey Hongzhuang was truly very blunt. Normally, Pill Masters always held an aloof and remote attitude, and nobody dared to be the least bit disrespectful. Now, Bailey Hongzhuang dared to provoke Gu Songyun directly. Just by listening, they could feel their blood racing. Gu Songyun's face had already turned into a dark red color. He wished with all his heart that it was all a dream. But reality was cruel. He stared at Huan Chuyu helplessly, only hoping for his long-known friend to say a few words to help him. Otherwise, after today, he'd become a laughingstock in Azure Water City. Huan Chuyu frowned slightly. He also didn't think that the situation today would turn out to be like this. Towards this old friend Gu Songyun, he was truly somewhat helpless. Although in the past, Gu Songyun's tolerance was very short, he'd never go as far as to interfere with the younger generation. He didn't think that this time Gu Songyun would become involved in such a thing. Especially those last words, making him disdained by everyone. Bailey Hongzhuang, old Gu is your elder, so I believe he understands. How about he just compensates? Huan Chu thought for a long time and only spoke just now. He also couldn't help but feel very embarrassed. Bailey Hongzhuang glanced at Huan Chuyu. She could understand Huan Chuyu's reasons for saying such. On one hand, it was an Azure Water School student, but on the other, it was his long-known friend. He could only come up with such a compromise. In Bailey Hongzhuang's heart, Huan Chuyu taking her into consideration already made her feel somewhat grateful. Since Vice Principal said so, I'll listen, Bailey Hongzhuang said slowly. But I want double the compensation. Seeing Bailey Hongzhuang's unwilling face, Huan Chu laughed helplessly and turned to Gu Songyun. He could only manage this much. Tomorrow I will send people to deliver it to you. Gu Songyun looked at Bailey Hongzhuang resentfully and quickly walked out of Early Assembly Plaza. He didn't want to stay here and lose even more face. Seeing Gu Songyun leave, Wei Meidai immediately began to follow. Hold on. Bailey Hongzhuang's cold voice suddenly rang. Miss Wei seems to have forgotten something, right? Wei Meidai's body turned stiff as she turned her head awkwardly. What? You still owe me an apology. Bailey Hongzhuang said icily, leaving just like that was really getting off too easy. Wei Meidai's face sunk. She originally thought that she could just slip through, but didn't expect that she couldn't even hide. Wei Meidai couldn't help but look at the quickly leaving Gu Songyun, but he didn't seem to understand her meaning, disappearing away from everyone's eyes at a speed like lightning. Gu Songyun only wanted to be away from Wei Meidai right now. If it wasn't for her rashly agreeing to the inspection, how would end up at such a situation? This was the first time he regretted taking such a stupid despicable. Seeing this, Wei Meidai could only stare at Bailey Hongzhuang helplessly, her voice overcast like baby's. I'm sorry. Bailey Hongzhuang frowned, a doubtful look on her face as she brought her head closer to Wei Meidai's. What did you say? It was too quiet for me to hear. Wei Meidai's face turned very red as she glared at Bailey Hongzhuang indignantly. She was going too far. Wei Meidai, don't you normally talk very loudly? How come I can't hear anything now? Wei Meidai stared angrily at Xia Jiqing, her eyes filled with bone-deep hate. She naturally hated Bailey Hongzhuang, and this Xia Jiqing was simply too detestable. I'm sorry, Wei Meidai shouted the two words. She didn't want to stay for a single bit longer and immediately started to leave. But just as Wei Meidai took a step, Bailey Hongzhuang's voice rang out again. Wei Meidai, don't forget to come with your master tomorrow to compensate me for my reputation. Wei Meidai's figure paused, her hand clenching into fists. Her head didn't turn back as she left with quick steps. After Wei Meidai left, only Ling Jiasin, Lu Jingquan, and Peng Yunxiang were left on the platform. Seeing the three who always search for an excuse to trouble her, Bailey Hongzhuang raised her chin, a cold light flashing through her eyes as she openly laughed mockingly. Right now, Ling Jiasin and her group felt as if they were sitting on pins and needles. If it wasn't for the vice principal showing up, they would have been able to leave directly. But now they could no longer OD anything and could only brace themselves. I'm sorry. The three apologized together, their eyes twinkling with anger. This time they had lost, but next time it'll be Bailey Hongzhuang unable to escape easily. Right as they schemed their future plans, Bailey Hongzhuang spoke again. Next time you want to find trouble with me, make a better plan. This strategy is too stupid. Hearing this, Ling Jiasin's group was simply mad with anger at Bailey Hongzhuang. This time they had definitely failed, but Bailey Hongzhuang's ruthless mocking had truly made them lose too much face. But facing Bailey Hongzhuang's words, they couldn't say a thing. But right now, Dai Yinyang was angry enough to puke blood. He had never accused Bailey Hongzhuang wrongly, though. That channel opening pill really didn't have the least bit of effect, though. Only now, in front of Bailey Hongzhuang's rightness appearance, he was truly about to die from anger. After Ling Jiasin and the others left under everyone's mocking words, early Assembly Plaza regained its calm. Everyone's faces were brimming with happiness. Today, the show had truly exceeded their expectations. Bailey Hongzhuang turned to face Huan Chuyu and bowed with etiquette. Many thanks for today, Vice Principal. Huan Chuyu waved his hand. Although his heart was still a bit helpless, he still spoke smilingly. What I said was the truth. Hi. Chapter 397, Dark Murderous Night. A wonderful drama had ended in such a way, with flaring curtains, that even though it was over, there were still many students relishing in its aftermath. Wei Meidai, Ling Jiaxian, and the others' fame fell to a rock bottom. After all, their true colors had been exposed in front of all the people. Bailey Hongzhuang thanked Jiang Pengzhe and the other two people, afterward returning to the special enrollment dormitory with Di Beichun and the others. Dongfang Yu and others on this matter, and its result were filled with endless emotion. They had thought this would cause a huge loss to Bailey Hongzhuang's reputation, and have not thought that a person like Bailey Hongzhuang will be enough to turn the tide. This completely rewritten ending had awed them, and at the same time had also been a good lesson for Ling Jiaxian and others. They had to admit that such twists and turns in the plot were really rare. Troubled everyone today. Thank you. Bailey Hongzhuang's lips curved up in a gentle smile, hand cupped as she apologized to Dongfang Yu and the others. This incident had been enough to prove that Gong Shaoqing and others in the special enrollment batch have truly become friends with her, and she will deeply remember this affection and repay it from the bottom of her heart. Dongfang Yu looked at Di Beichun. After the previous things, the relationship between him and Di Beichun was not good. If he continued to stay here, he would only be embarrassed. Gong Shaoqing naturally understood the current situation and went upstairs together with Dongfang Yu and Lin Qinyu. Xia Jiqing smiled widely. Haha, today's things were too funny. That Ling Jiaxian was staring till her eyeballs were almost falling. Most of the women practitioners were less alluring than the average women, but a lure such as Xia Jiqing was still extremely rare. Bai Junyu appreciatively glanced at Xia Jiqing, his eyes bright as his sight condensed on her, a trace of strange emotions spreading in her heart. Jiqing, thank you for today. Bailey Hong Zhuang held Xia Jiqing's hand, and Xia Jiqing, without any hesitation, stood by her side. True friends, such as Xia Jiqing, were still very few. Therefore, she cherished this friendship very much. Xia Jiqing winked naughtily, her bright black eyes twinkling like stars. You are welcome. People like them should be cursed. Night slowly crept in, the moon shining, soft moonlight touching everything in the cool and cold night. Bailey Hong Zhuang was standing by the window, the moonlight falling on her body, the picture mellow and beautiful. Dark, ink-like eyes were like a star in the night, shiny, with a trace of sharpness flashing quietly, cold and unfathomable. Today, when she looked at the eyes of Gu Songyun that were filled with bone marrow deep, killing intention, she feared more trouble had just been added to Gu Songyun's position and reputation. Today's blow would certainly make him do a crazy move. And she, for Gu Songyun, had a feeling of extreme disgust. Today, this dark and stormy night of the murder would be even darker and heavier later when she went to eradicate this trouble. Master, that Gu Songyun will not send someone to deal with you today, right? Little Black sat on the shoulder of the Bailey Hong Zhuang, two little feet shaking, as he slowly asked aloud. Bailey Hong Zhuang's lips curved in a ridiculing smile, black pupil flashing with confidence. The old guy is just scared of being upright, trying to figure out how to save his reputation, and wouldn't find someone to fight me, at least until tomorrow. In fact, things were just as she expected. Gu Songyun was pacing angrily in his house at the moment. Wei Mei Dai stood in front of him, head hanging low, not saying a word. Chapter 398. Younger Brother. Good news. Just as Bailey Hong Zhuang had considered the time for the permanent departure of Gu Songyun, Little White's curious voice suddenly rang out. Well, Debate Shun, how come you're going out now? Little White's eyes were flashing with a curiosity. These days, Debate Chun had never gone out. Bailey Hong Zhuang's brow lifted, dark, bright eyes flashing with a thoughtfulness like her doubts had just been affirmed. Her heart had already faintly guessed this, but as she had not witnessed, she could not be sure. Master, when do we go? Little Black asked. For Gu Songyun, that old guy, he only felt more and more annoyance, and just wanted to go faster to solve the old fart. Bailey Hong Zhuang's lips arced in a joking smile. Since you are already this impatient, we will be starting now. Well, Little Black laughed excitedly. Baisher had also heard this, and bounded towards Bailey Hong Zhuang, his two furry hands holding a purple demon crystal, eyes showing his happiness. Bailey Hong Zhuang touched Baisher's head, opened the door, and walked the outside of the college's premise. After today's things, Dai Yunyang could be considered the most depressed person, but his heart also felt somewhat fortunate. If it was not for him letting Ling Jia Xian and the other two question Bailey Hong Zhuang first, but he would have lost face today at the morning prayer square. Now his face was temporarily saved, but that laxative had really caused him such a big loss, making him miserable. He did not know what to do, naturally could not go to Feng Yutang. If he were to tell Feng Yutang that he failed, then he was afraid that he could not even go back alive. I did not expect this Bailey Hong Zhuang to be even so powerful. Our plan was perfect, but she has destroyed everything. Ling Jia Xian looked indignant. Today's things had exhausted her and completely lost her face. Who could have thought that Bailey Hong Zhuang would even give us a fake Dan, and that Gong Shaoqing and the others had taken the real one? If not, no one could be sure if we wronged Bailey Hong Zhuang. Lu Jingqian was also depressed, did not expect to fall so short. Dai Yunyang was even more depressed on hearing the words of Lu Jingqian. It is obvious he was wronged. He did not do anything unjust to Bailey Hong Zhuang. Okay? However, he now has no other way to tell Lu Jingqian and others because he couldn't accept the fact that people no longer pay any attention to him. So, this tone he can only swallow bitterly. Just as Dai Yunyang pondered what they should do next, Pang Yunxiang, who had been sent to inquire about the news, quickly stepped in the room. Younger brother, there is good news. Pang Yunxiang's slightly cheerful and proud face was like an invitation for good news to Dai Yunyang. Dai Yunyang frowned. At such a time, how can there be any good news? What good news? Ling Jia Xin asked curiously. Pang Yunxiang could no longer hold it in, and eyes shining with excitement. He said, I have checked, and now, in the special enrollment dormitory, Bailey Hong Zhuang is the only one. Hearing this remark, Dai Yunyang and the other two's eyes are fixed on the body of Pang Yunxiang. Only Bailey Hong Zhuang is there? How is that possible? Lu Jing can had some doubts, not to mention Dong Fangyu, Gong Xiaoqing, and others who have been staying in special enrollment dormitory. For Di Beichun, it was absolutely impossible to be separate from Bailey Hong Zhuang. Chapter 399, You Think You Will Not Regret It? Seeing that none of them believed him, Pang Yunxiang's voice became even louder, his face becoming a bit more serious. What I said is true. I had been hiding near the special admissions dormitory to check the situation when I saw the Dong Fangyu, Gong Xiaoqing, Lu Qinyu, and Bai Junyu going out together. Not long after that, Di Beichun also left. When I saw that even Di Beichun had gone out, I immediately came back to inform you about the news. Listening to this, Dai Yunyang and others glanced at each other, their faces spontaneously emerging with a touch of joy. Normally, due to the presence of Di Beichun and others, if they want to deal with Bailey Hong Zhuang, finding a chance was impossible. Now, in the special enrollment dormitory, only Bailey Hong Zhuang. That one person was remaining. This good opportunity was simply a pie falling from the heavens, right? We are going to the special enrollment dormitory. Dai Yunyang, pounding his fist on the table, stood up, his originally gloomy face now glimmering with emerging hope. As long as he could recover the strength that he had lost due to the immortality that they had got from the hands of Bailey Hong Zhuang, then all problems could be solved. When Bailey Hong Zhuang walked out of the special enrollment dormitory, she saw Dai Yunyang's group coming toward her, their faces looking dire and angry. A shallow smile graced her lips as Bailey Hong Zhuang folded her arms in front of her chest with attitude, sarcastically looking at Dai Yunyang and the three behind him. Humph, do you think that you haven't lost enough face today? Have you come here hoping for your face to be lost even more? Bailey Hong Zhuang, you do not too proud. Ling Jia Xin cursed angrily. Brother Dai has come. Now I will see how proud you can be. Bailey Hong Zhuang's gaze condensed on Dai Yunyang's body. With a closer look, she had just found that Dai Yunyang and Dai Ji-man looked very similar. It turns out that you are Dai Yunyang. Bailey Hong Zhuang's expression was unfathomable, her face calm and indifferent, such that no one could see the slightest emotion. Ling Jia Xin and others were constantly coming to her to find troubles. And because of what happened to Dai Ji-man in today's incident, she finally saw Dai Yunyang himself. Bailey Hong Zhuang, you promptly give up the antidote, or else do not blame me for making you feel unwelcome. Dai Yunyang looked pale, trying to get this over with as soon as possible. He did not know when Di Beichun and the others would come back, but once the time was too late, then the people who were in an adverse situation may be them. Cold, black eyes were filled with puzzlement, as Bailey Hong Zhuang's face wrinkled slightly. Antidote? Not only Bailey Hong Zhuang, even Ling Jia Xin and others were confused. Dai Yunyang was poisoned. See Bailey Hong Zhuang's ignorant and puzzled expression, as if she did not know anything, made Dai Yunyang's anger even thicker and explosive. That is, the antidote of that laxative. A touch of understanding now floated on Bailey Hong Zhuang's facial features, cherry-like soft lips curving up in an enchanting arc, her voice revealing her ridicule. Oh, that. After you ate my original immortality, how did you feel? Listening to Bailey Hong Zhuang's mercilessly sarcastic remark, Dai Yunyang's face turned black to the extreme. You will hand over the antidote right now, or you will regret it. The other three people looked at each other. They completely did not understand what Dai Yunyang and Bailey Hongzhuang were talking about. Yin Yang, what antidote are you talking about? Lingjia Xian could not help but ask aloud. However, Dai Yunyang did not explain anything to her. In fact, such a shameful thing, he simply did not want to explain. I'd like to know, how dare you think you can make me lose 2 levels of strength and not live to regret it? Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes narrowed. Whether it was Dai Jiman or Dai Yun Yang, their arrogance was the same. Disgusting. Chapter 400. What is that thing? Hearing Dai Yun Yang's remark, the three behind him sucked in a breath of cold air. They looked intently at Dai Yun Yang, almost asking if they had heard wrong. However, seeing Dai Yun Yang's gloomy face, they remained silent. If you don't give me the antidote, I will kill you. Dai Yun Yang's face was stormy and full of rage, his eyes like knives, glaring at Bailey Hongzhuang as if he wanted to kill her. This woman's level of shamelessness was completely beyond his expectations. Bailey Hongzhuang, now you are alone. The power of only one person is simply not our opponent. Lingjia Xian's face had become very ugly at the moment. She also wanted to know what immortality Bailey Hongzhuang had created that it could even cause a decline in Dai Yun Yang's strength. As Lingjia Xian's voice faded, the bodies of Dai Yun Yang's group of 4 burst out with a powerful Yuan energy at the same time. Blame you for being so unlucky. Who let you not be together with Di Bei Chun right now? This can only be called bad luck. Lu Jing can smile with pride. Usually, Bailey Hongzhuang acted too arrogantly, always looking down at them. Now he could finally teach her a lesson. Before, Dong Fengyu and the others had asked Bailey Hongzhuang if she wanted to go out together with them, but she had thought of going to trouble Gu Songyun and had rejected. Never anticipated that Dai Yun Yang would even appear here. However, smiling enchantingly, Bailey Hongzhuang thought that taking this opportunity to solve Dai Yun Yang, this nuisance was also a good thing. Her cold and calm eyes swept over Dai Yun Yang, and then over the others, looking at the Yuan energy bursting from their bodies, getting a good grasp of their strengths. Dai Yun Yang and Pang Yunxiang were at Mysterious Ian middle stage, while Lingjia Xian and Lu Jing were at Mysterious Ian initial stage. If Dai Yun Yang was at his original strength, then she would have had some trouble dealing with them, but a battle with such people didn't make her feel a sliver of fear. You can start now, do not waste my time. Bailey Hongzhuang's expression was impatient, eyebrows slightly furrowed. She still had to go solve Gu Songyun after solving Dai Yun Yang and the others. She was worried that if the old man was not solved today, he would come to trouble her tomorrow. Looking at Bailey Hongzhuang's careless attitude, Dai Yun Yang thought she was stupid. Even if Bailey Hongzhuang was at Mysterious Ian middle stage, there were 4 of them. She had not even won yet. Why was she still so arrogant? Now, Dai Yun Yang's eyes swept with a touch of rage since Bailey Hongzhuang was so rude. He will not be polite either. Lingjia Xian and the others nodded, the 4 people immediately going towards Bailey Hongzhuang, attacking her. Master, let's just shoot now. Little Black's eyes were flashing with excitement, his body emitting an aggressive, warlike aura. Bailey Hongzhuang hesitated for a moment, then nodded. At the moment there was no one around. Even if Little Black and Little White came out, it would not be a problem. Well, solve them quickly. Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes were cold. They were already her rivals. Compared to endless trouble, later on, might as well solve them right now. Yes. Little Black and Little White nodded excitedly. They were finally able to come out. The next moment, in front of Dai Yun Yang and the others' astonished eyes, 2 round fluff balls appeared. What is this stuff? Pang Yunxiang was dumbfounded. In his entire life, he had never seen or heard of such things. Chapter 401. I will fulfill you. Before Pang Yunxiang could get the answer to his question, Little Black was already shooting towards his head. Boom! Pang Yunxiang just saw a flash of white in front of him before his head was hit, and his entire body collapsed on the ground uncontrollably. I'm not a stuff. Must be your family is stuff. Little Black stepped on Pang Yunxiang's head. This annoying person even called him stuff. This little master's name is Little Black. Little Black is a good name, right? Why did Pang Yunxiang feel that this style and feeling of sudden attack was really familiar? It was like the first time in the cultivation tower when Bailey Hong Zhuang had attacked him with a hidden weapon. Just like that time, he had no time to respond to the attack. Lu Jing Can's mouth twitched. That little white fluffball's name is Little Black? Could there be a more inappropriate name? From which angle did it look black? Just when Lu Jingcan was trying to control his smile, Little White rushed up to him. The same attack on the head. And just like the earlier man, this one fell to the ground from the painful feeling in his head. LJK fell down like PYX. Lu Jingcan felt blood drip down his nose, and his eyes fell on a black fluffy body that was constantly bouncing near his head. The attack had been so fast that even his nose was broken. Ah? Who are you? Lu Jingcan asked, holding his face because of the pain. Little Master will not tell you. Little White glanced at Lu Jingcan coldly, as if his appearance wasn't worth being noticed by him. Don't tell me you're called Little White. How did you know? Little White looked at Lu Jingcan with surprise. He clearly did not tell him his name. Ah. Lu Jingcan's mouth was twitching, his nosebleed getting heavier. Dai Yunyang and Ling Jia Xian's faces were extremely ugly at the moment. They did not think that before they could deal with Bailey Hong Zhuang, there would be two little unfamiliar guys dealing with them. Dai Yunyang was 7 or 8 meters in front of Bailey Hong Zhuang, and in an instant, he fiercely attacked her with a powerful force. He did not care for or like Pang Yunxiang and the other in general. Only by rapidly attacking Bailey Hong Zhuang would he achieve his goal. He believed that even if Bailey Hong Zhuang was also in the middle stage of the mysterious Ian, Bailey Hong Zhuang had just had a breakthrough, and his practice time was much longer than her. Either combat experience or attacking skills were far superior to Bailey Hong Zhuang's, and she could not compare. If Bailey Hong Zhuang knew Dai Yunyang's thoughts at the moment, she would certainly sneer at him. She was the head of a large family from 1,000 years ago. She did not know how many small and big fights she had participated in. He dared to look down on her combat experience. He was stupid. Bang! Bailey Hong Zhuang did not hesitate to meet his fist with her own. As the fists collided, ripples of energy spread in the vicinity. Dai Yunyang took a step back, while Bailey Hong Zhuang remained emotionless. Dai Yunyang's eyes were like a stormy sea, as he looked at Bailey Hong Zhuang with a stunned expression, face full of shock. How could this be? Even though his strength dropped 2 levels, and he was now only a mysterious Ian middle stage cultivator, how could the power of Bailey Hong Zhuang be stronger than him? Bailey Hong Zhuang looked at him with ridicule. She had not intended to immerse Dai Yunyang into a period of shock. Immediately, overwhelming attacks mercilessly hit Dai Yunyang. Since you wanted to die, I will fulfill you. Bailey Hong Zhuang's words were firm and decisive, leaving no room for discussion. Chapter 402, it is just big talk bang. Bang. Bailey Hong Zhuang and Dai Yunyang collided together, their tyrannical and fierce attacks continuing, ripples of energy spreading out. Originally, Dai Yunyang was full of confidence, thinking Bailey Hong Zhuang was easy to deal with. But as the fight continued, the horror in his heart became more and more deep, eyes completely full of a shocked expression. After the discovery that his own power could not be compared to Bailey Hong Zhuang's, he was shaken. He had thought he could win with his combat experience. He never thought that Bailey Hong Zhuang's combat experience would be so rich, not in the slightest like an ordinary cultivator at the mysterious Ian middle stage. On the contrary, she was like a battle-hardened general. Beads of sweat oozed from Dai Yunyang's forehead. He did not understand why he had been so unlucky to meet this person, Bailey Hong Zhuang. Clearly, everything had been going perfectly, but after meeting Bailey Hong Zhuang, everything was completely destroyed. Ling Jia Xin found that even Dai Yunyang turned out not to be a competitor of Bailey Hong Zhuang. Her face had a deeply distressed expression. How could Dai Yunyang not be an opponent of Bailey Hong Zhuang? Ling Jia Xin looked at Lu Jing Can and Pang Yun Xiang and could not help but glance at the two fluffballs that had severely trampled on the former. She was dismayed by this turn-off events, and stomping went in the direction of Bailey Hong Zhuang. Since long, Baishir had been waiting for Ling Jiazin to make a move. As she rushed up, his stature flew towards her in a flash of white. "Ah!" Lin Jiaxin screamed. She did not see the thing that came flying towards her, and her face contorted with pain. At the moment, Baishir was licking the blood on his paw. His usual cute and mo posture had disappeared, cold eyes looking at Ling Jiaxin. Dared to fight with its master? They had to deal with him before it. Ling Jiaxin also recognized that the little guy in front of her was the one that Bailey Hong Zhuang always held in her hand, petting it. However, she did not think that the pet, which usually did not seem even the slightest bit offensive, was actually so fast. Her hand could not help but come up to her face, feeling a burst of hot red pain, her hand stained with blood. Turning her gaze slightly, she looked at Baishir, who was squinting as he licked the blood on his paw. As an understanding of what happened dawned on her. "I want to kill you, you little beast." Ling Jiaxin was extremely furious. She most valued her face, but this damn beast even dared to scratch her face. Ling Jiaxin, holding her sword, slashed towards Baishir. However, he did not care in the slightest. His stature was swift, and Ling Jiaxin could not even cut a strand of its hair. Baishir acted like he had found a toy as he ran around, teasing Ling Jiaxin. Little Black and Little White glanced at Baishir and his way of attack. They had to admit that he really was the owner's pet. Even the way they seemed to attack was same. Boom. Bailey Hong Zhuang kicked Dai Yunyang so that his stature went flying before falling heavily on the ground, clouds of dust rising. Dai Yunyang had not yet got up when Bailey Hong Zhuang fiercely kicked him, stepping on his chest. "It seems that your strength is not enough." Her light tone revealed scorn and disdain. Bailey Hong Zhuang's eyes flashed with disappointment. Earlier, looking at the way Ling Jiaxin and the others were competing for the attention of Dai Yunyang, she thought Dai Yunyang must be incredible. She saw today, but it was just big talk. You're tuning into the Romance Rendezvous YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.